Casting Crowns, WCRF 622. You may want to check your internet connection because it's about to shatter and break because of the cuteness overload that was just posted. Lauren took our brand new wrapped station vehicle with all the logos on it home.
Yes, I did.
And her son Trey was pretty excited.
Yes, he wanted me to drive him to school in it.
Yeah, there's you'd think they'd be like weirded out by it. My kids loved it.
Oh yeah, he just loved it so much.
What happened when you got to school?
We pulled up to the drop-off line, and I'm getting him out of the car, and one of the teachers was like, "Oh, we thought you were coming to interview us." They know where I work, but she was being silly. And then Trey said, "Look at my mommy's new car." And then another teacher said, "Yeah, there's no question where your mom works," because my face is on the side. Not only is it obvious because I'm driving the car that says Moody Radio 103.3, but also my face is on the side.
That was your first experience with your face on a vehicle.
Yes.
How did that feel?
Yeah, I drove around the Brian and Kathleen one, so I did that, but not with my own face. It was fine.
It's fine?
Yeah.
Seriously? I can't believe you didn't wear like sunglasses and a hat.
I mean, people stare, but I don't think it's because they know I'm the one driving. They stare just because it's an obnoxious-looking vehicle.
Yeah.
But that's what it's supposed to be.
Faces.
It's supposed to look obnoxious, so you look at it.
I mean, years ago, I remember driving it, and when you drive it for a while, you kind of forget that it's got all the stuff on it because you can't see the decals in the window. And Sarah and I were driving to some event, and this guy pulls up next to us and started like honking and like staring and stuff. And I was kind of like, what? Like I totally forgot what I was doing. What's this guy's problem? Look at this guy. And then, oh, hi. Moody Radio.
That's me.
Yeah, it's pretty weird. And did you have anybody stop you yet?
No.
But be on the lookout, Northeast Ohio. It's out there.
It's out there.
There's a vehicle with our little pictures together on the side of the window.
I got a lot of driving to do this weekend, so
watch for
Monday
Lauren.
and Tuesday. I got some appointments Monday and Tuesday, so very exciting.
Honk and wave, stop and say hello, ask for photographs, and then send them to us.
Yeah, send them.
Tag us on online at Mornings with Brian.
It happens.
Okay.
I was at a restaurant once.
Do you think like I didn't know what I was doing when I said, "Hey, I can take the vehicle this weekend"?
No, I knew you knew what you're doing, but I'm more excited than you, again, about everything.
Well, this is not very exciting.
I want to
for
see
me.
the selfies posted
I do too.
of people stopping the car.
Well, that's Jaime Buxton from City Mission. She's with us all morning. What do you want to talk about? 440-546-2255. Let's go through some of the topics from the week here. We talked about how to battle anxiety with a beautiful devotional that talked about focusing on gratitude. Maybe you want to talk about gratitude. And dear Abby received a note from somebody who's so frustrated with a relative that whenever they come over for the holidays, we'll just go over and tweak the
I
temperature.
forgot
a little
about
bit.
that one.
Like just
No.
change the flame level or change the temperatures. Oh, boop, boop, boop. And they don't know how to handle that. And I brought up the reality that Scripture talks about wisdom can be overlooking an offense or correcting an offense.
And where did you land on that one, that particular offense?
I don't know if I ever shared
I
my
don't think you
thoughts
did.
on that. I'd be annoyed, but I'd eventually, like Sarah would have no problem immediately going, "Whoa, what was that? Are you changing the temperature?" Ha ha. Like she'd look at my mom and say that or something, but I think I would just pick my battles. I'm not certain I would be too concerned about that. I mean, Sarah's done that to me.
Well, that's a little different.
Oh, is it?
An outside guest coming from.
Yeah, you guys
Outside and
share
not-
a
yeah.
home.
Yeah, an outside guest is definitely different.
Yeah.
What would you do?
Well, I mean, bless them. My parents do it all the time. And I'm in agreement with them. Sean is a caveman, and I think we just turned our heat on like last week, maybe.
Okay.
Actually, not even. I think like 2 days ago is when our heat came on this year. So it happens all the time where my parents are cold in our house, or we are very hot in theirs, and it's just
Yeah, well.
it is what it is.
This is food temperature though, like the oven or the stove if you're cooking.
Oh,
Yeah,
I thought you were
it's
talking
not
about like the thermostat.
No, it's a cooking thing.
Well, that's weird.
Like, I'm just going to go change the temperature on the oven because I don't like it.
Pretty weird, huh?
Well, why would you do that?
Exactly.
Are
I don't
you
know.
making the dinner?
No, okay. I can tell you where it comes from because this has happened to me with my wife. Now, when we were first married, we were very traditional because I was the breadwinner. She stayed home. And she had a lot of rules about when she was cooking. Like, get out of the kitchen. Don't even look at me when I'm in here cooking. I mean, everybody out. I'm cooking, you know? And that's fine. And she did the temperature and everything. And I didn't even dream of doing all that. But when the roles started reversing, suddenly everyone's hanging out in the kitchen while Dad's cooking. They're getting in his way. And every once in a while, Sarah's like, oh, well, maybe that needs to be medium high, not just medium. Oh, boop. And I go, whoa. Hey, how would we like that if we, as in like I did that to you?
Yeah.
And it changed over time, but I think there was a level at which he was going, he doesn't quite know what he's doing, so I need to
Okay.
help him. That's got to be where it comes from, right? The relative is like, this person doesn't quite know how to cook.
It's different when, I mean, I think you should respect your spouse and maybe not just go in there unilaterally and change the temperature when they're cooking, because I'd get quite upset if Jimmy did that unless something was like boiling over. If it's a guest in your house, that's totally different though.
Yeah, don't touch that. Don't.
Yeah, I'm confused.
We also talked about Black Friday and Christian participation in it, Daria's pet peeves with it. We had a lot of fun with that. And I had some Black Friday horror stories I shared. Didn't share all of them. I could share more from actual retail employees. And then the pastor of Gateway Church in Fort Worth, Texas, who fell from grace a number of months ago after it was revealed a story he used as part of his testimony ended up being him abusing a 12-year-old girl. Mm-hmm. He apparently at a number of occasions talked about a money-back guarantee at the church. If you're not satisfied, we'll give you your tithes back. And one of the members was like, okay, I want my money back. And we talked about the ethics of that and the theology of that, whether that's a good idea or not. Many of you had comments on that. There was research about churches being relevant, as in non-believers think the church is relevant but not trustworthy. People who attend church regularly think the church is trustworthy but not relevant. Consider that. Talk amongst yourselves. Turns out Dwight Schrute was correct in that you should have a desanitizing station. If you play in the dirt, your immune system is helped by that.
Yes.
I still object strenuously. In
Well,
fact,
that's not what the
after
science
reading
says.
that story, I'm going to apply some hand sanitizer.
That's literally not what the science says.
What?
That's not what the science says, so you can still object, but it's not what's true.
Oh, I'm sorry. Americans follow science now?
That's not what I said.
You're right. Okay. Are religious people more fearful? There was a study we talked about with Dr. Gersovich about that. Turns out tons of Americans rely on influencers for their news and information. In fact, 1 in 5 Americans, but a much higher percentage, 37% of young adults say that they get their news from influencers on social media. And I'm worried for the future of humanity. Not everybody agrees. Daria had some spicy pushback on that. I thought very thoughtful and good ideas. She's still wrong. But it was still fun to talk about. And maybe you want to chat about that. I have lots to say on that one. The overconfidence trap was another discussion. The Dunning-Kruger effect is where that comes from. The idea that if you know a little bit about a subject, you suddenly think you're an expert in it. And so it's the idea that the less we know about a subject, the less we realize how much we don't know. Which is my analysis was that's how you end up with Comedy Central, being able to go to a political rally on either side and interview people and get the most ridiculous responses that make all the rest of us laugh because that person knows a little bit about politics and they think they've got it all figured out. But when you quiz them, they're clueless and quite funny, unintentionally so. Somebody was mad about worship music and Relevant Magazine being too me-centric. Lauren just sliced and diced that person up, intellectually, of course.
I don't think so. I said I just don't agree. I don't think I sliced and diced.
Well, I mean, depends on how you look at it. A butter knife. Gentle. Not even a real wound. It just, whoop,
Oh, okay.
wrong. Is that better?
Sure.
Then how do you discern between God's voice and your own? Like, is this the Taco Bell I ate, or is this
Yeah.
the Holy Spirit convicting me to move? What do you think? Are you good at that?
I don't
Jaime
know.
Buxton? I'm not great at it. Sometimes I'm just anxious in general. And God's like, calm down. Not go do something. It's 6:32. Time for a quick break. But what do you want to talk about? We'll pick the topic if you don't. But 440-546-2255.
I'm Joy Traxel, and this is Pause for Prayer. Have you ever thought about the power that lives within us that have accepted Jesus as our Lord and Savior? I was recently reading Romans 8 and was reminded that we have the same power within us that raised Jesus from the grave. The question for us to ask ourselves is, am I using that power? I wonder what life would look like for us if we tapped into the power that we have been given. For me, it would look like saying no to my fleshly desire and saying yes to God. What would it look like for you? Well, try it today and see. Let's pause and pray. God, we come to you today with an excitement to see what you have for us. We love that you are near and ready to hear and speak to us. Would you help us to remember that we don't have to navigate this challenging world alone, but to remember that you have asked us to give you our burdens. We are always grateful that when you ascended into heaven, you did not leave us alone. You provided an advocate for us through the Holy Spirit. God, help us to lean into that power and give space for the Holy Spirit to speak to us and guide us. Help us to not forget about the power that lives in us through the Holy Spirit. The same power that raised Jesus from the grave lives in us. We also know that to live in the Spirit means that we need to die to the flesh. We need to say no to what the world wants us to do and say yes to what is from you. God, help us to discern better. God, would you help us to give space for the Spirit to speak and guide today? Help us to slow down and take quiet moments to just sit and be still. We want more of you today, God. Speak to us now, guide our steps, give us words to speak and meditate on. And we ask this in the name of Jesus. Amen.
The 2024 presidential election is over. Some people are devastated. Some are elated. Either way, one thing is certain. Abortion laws at the state level have become more permissive, and the availability of the abortion pill will continue to increase. More mothers, fathers, and unborn children are at risk today than the day before the election. As a pro-life person, you may be asking yourself, now what? As God's people, we have a higher calling to mobilize our churches, the body of Christ, to provide compassion, hope, and help to women and men at risk for choosing abortion. Your church can become a beacon of life in your community today. Visit the CareNet website and explore Making Life Disciples, a program designed to help your church reach those at risk for abortion, save unborn lives, and make disciples for Jesus Christ. Click on For Your Church at care-net.org, care-net.org.
Join the conversation by call or text at 440-546-2255. It's Mornings with Brian on Moody Radio Cleveland.
Mornings with Brian, Moody Radio Cleveland, 103.3 at 6 to 9 a.m.
Lots of unwritten rules in life, and there are some unwritten rules with texting etiquette that we're going to dive right into on a follow-up Friday here on WCRF. Jaime Buxton with us from City Mission. She's going to be our impartial judge.
I don't think she's going to be impartial.
I'm so nervous.
She is not going to be impartial. I already know what she's going to say.
We haven't given her any of the answers yet, but let me
No.
just present a scenario to her because we had a debate amongst the team. But
It's
I want
just
to
me
do.
and you.
Well, I want to do some sociological analysis of this.
Oh, no.
Wow.
I do.
Me and Brian were fighting during a break earlier this week.
I've written things out
Okay,
to
go ahead.
discuss this.
In a really big font, by the way.
Yeah, well,
Because it needs bifocals.
I need bifocals. We did 2 eye exams this month. December's my month to go get one. You can only go to the eye doctor so many times or buy glasses so many times in a month. Anyway,
Are you getting bifocals for Christmas?
Oh,
Oh, nice.
you'll never know. / I'll tell you because I'll be so depressed.
yeah, you'll be so embarrassed.
He's going to cry.
I'm not getting the line. Don't you know? You don't have to text and say you can get the
the
invisible one.
line less one.
Because of course I'm going to do that. But
It's time.
It's time,
do you
pal.
have that?
No, I don't have it.
You see how it?
Well, normal people don't ask other people if they have bifocals.
Well, and you're saying how shameful it is right now
Yes,
and then
exactly.
looking at me and my glasses. No, I don't have that yet.
I
Yeah.
do.
Ron does.
It's an age thing.
So you're being mean to Ron.
No,
You
it's an
heard
age
him.
thing.
You're bullying Ron.
No. All these years of my life, my eyes were just, I can't see distance. Mm-hmm. And it's changing. I got a large print Bible, okay? Leave me alone.
Yeah, you can thank the fall for that.
You know, I noticed something yesterday that I'm actually going to have to follow up on.
Oh, no.
We were looking at something on a screen. We were looking at an Excel spreadsheet, which I love so much. And there was colors and I
Lauren
I
was
love a
drooling.
good Excel.
No.
Yeah. So anyway, they had different boxes with the same black font. And I noticed that the red box with the black writing, I had a really hard time reading, but everything else. And I was like, oh no, what does that mean?
And it's begun.
What does that mean?
It is time.
They laugh at me all the time because if it's not the right size, I have to kind of raise my glasses up and
It
I
is-
end up bumping the mic.
What
and-
you typed for yourself is at least a 14 font. At least.
I also, here's
Isn't
my
it?
other
It might
awkward
be
theory
16.
on this. Okay, so if you look at the paper,
Oh, good heavens. That is
now,
quite large.
It's large, but part of it is I wanted to feel better about using an entire page printed.
But it's not.
And so I felt like the more space,
still like a quarter of a page.
the more space I could take
Enter,
up on,
enter,
the,
enter.
on the page,
Need a paragraph break here.
the less I'd feel guilty about printing it.
Don't you have like a notebook you can just jot some quick thoughts
I was
down
going to say, you
on?
write notes on
Not
everything.
this scraggly handwriting.
How do you understand me? I don't even know. That's the answer to that. Okay, so texting etiquette.
Okay.
Let's-
Enough diversion.
Let's just say I text you,
Yeah.
hey, Jamie, I'm looking forward to talking with you on the show tomorrow.
Okay.
Now what happens? Is it over? Or are you going to reply in some way?
I'm going to reply in some way, even
Like-
though it really didn't need a reply.
Okay, why will you do that?
Don't.
Well, I can't ask why.
No, because I know what you're doing. You're trying to get her on your side. That's what you're doing because she gave an answer that was like mine.
No, she did not.
Her second half, yes,
So-
she did.
Oh, yeah.
Daria, help me.
You, Ron.
The
Okay,
second
take
half.
You're
over.
on your own, Jamie.
Take over. Take over.
If the text does not require a response, I am not required to respond.
That is true.
We can't just go on forever and ever. And
That's an extreme view of my position. Thank you.
no, you're changing your position. is
No,
what you're
I'm
doing.
not. I'm not.
Because what you're saying is that everything requires a response. And people who reply to us saying like, oh, I hate to agree with Brian, but to not reply to a text is so rude. I'm not talking about, hey, Lauren, I'm so excited to meet you at lunch. I'm talking about, I asked Ron a question. I said, hey, Ron, what is that one Sonic song called? Someone asked us that the other day. And so I asked Ron to get me the song name. And he replied, never once. Am I supposed to respond
No.
to that?
No.
But
No.
you were saying I did, that I have to respond to it because it's a text.
Sometimes it requires an emoji like
No, it
thumbs up.
doesn't.
I'm going to go ahead. I think I agree with Lauren is where I'm landing. However, I'm going to go with the old lady answer, which will make my kids cringe right now. That is why you can love or heart
That's
or
what I'm talking about.
Yeah, he thinks I have to emoji react to everything.
Now let me be a Christian and be a peacemaker.
Oh, now you want to be a peacemaker?
now that you've stirred the complete pot.
I would like
After
to
you were fighting with
acknowledge,
me?
Like, I felt very, like, as I analyzed this discussion on my drive home the other day, I thought to myself, wow, Lauren really is my friend.
Okay.
Because she said that when I send her like a little video to watch, normally with other people in her life, she will not acknowledge the receipt of it.
I watch
But she
it.
knows
I just don't
that
say anything
I
about it.
value the thumbs up acknowledgement. And so she does that for me.
There you go.
That's a good friend.
That is a good friend.
Thank you for
I
valuing
also know
me.
he's going to ask me if I saw the video if I don't respond to it. So I'll just acknowledge that I saw it and watched it with a thumbs up.
Because I generally, I believe that the etiquette would require that I get some reaction to the video. I need to know how you felt about it. That's why I sent it to you, because I wanted us to engage on said video. Like, Sarah will send me, you know how spouses are now. There's jokes about it. Everybody sends each other videos all the time from Reels or whatever. At least that's what the young people do, and Sarah and I have adopted this.
Good for you, youngsters.
And if Sarah sends me something, I feel like what she wants is to know how I felt about it. So I will laugh at it. I'll heart it. I'll thumb it up. I'll do something to show her, let's engage here. I just feel it's very cold for Jaime Buxton to take time to watch a video, think of me, send it to me, and have me just go, I'm not even going to let her know that I looked at it, let alone felt about it.
Yeah, I'm not certain who you're trying to convince because I do that for you because I know it's important to you.
I know, and I'm telling you thank you.
Someone said it at least requires a thank you because Ron did something for you.
Yeah, I don't think you're going to have much success, even though I might be in the minority in the room. If we brought all of our listeners in the room.
What happens if before, I don't know, a year ago when reactions didn't exist on iPhones?
I would just say thanks to lots of stuff to acknowledge
Okay, so
receipt.
let me read another one to you. Let me read another one to you that isn't someone did something for me, okay? Here we go.
By the way, that was a work question, and it was no offense, Ron, it was a required answer.
Right. During the show.
But I will say that I have adopted the email emojis, where I can just
love the
like
email
that
emojis.
you responded to me.
I dislike that intensely.
Okay, so here's another one. A friend of mine is getting married soon. She texted me. Also, because we're having a different conversation, also, finally got the church and wedding venue officially booked today. And I said, yay, 2 exclamation points. And she said, finally, exclamation point.
No, you're done.
So I don't have to use a reaction to that.
No, you don't. It's obvious. You don't. Because an interaction on the reaction has happened.
But then
done.
she reacted to the reaction.
Let's jump on the phones here. We've got Christina in Cleveland. Christina in Cleveland is going to solve this debate. Christina, go ahead.
Okay, so I just want, Brian, I don't like agreeing with you. But
Join the club, sister.
Me
Join
neither.
the club.
in this instance, he is correct. Because, Lauren, you say that if it doesn't need a response, then I'm not going to respond. But who deems what's response-worthy? I will say, he just said that if you, that interaction that you just had, that, yeah, it's done.
It's done. Yep.
You responded, and then she was like, yeah. And so, okay, it's been established. But, yes, if I send you something, you don't have to give me words. But because you said, we do have those emojis now, you can just, give me a thumbs up. I don't care. My girls hate thumbs up, by the way. I don't know why. But yeah. I'm cool with that because at least I know that you've responded. Because, on Instagram, my husband and I, my daughters and I, we send reels all the time.
Yep.
I don't need you to tell me, a verbal, reaction, words to every single reel, but at least just, a thumbs up, something that I know that you've seen it.
Yes.
Because it would be the same thing if we were in a personal, conversation together, face to face, and I say something, and then you just don't react. And
Yeah.
I'm like, no.
Yeah,
So,
if I would tell Lauren a story that I think is amusing, and when I finished the story, she would just be deadpan, straight face, just.
Okay, so then the example I just gave where she said finally with one of those little excited, what is that? the little speakerphone guy. So that's deemed I don't have to respond?
Yeah, because there's been
But
interaction.
what if she thinks I'm supposed to respond?
Well, then I don't know. But let me ask you this. Let's back up, because Christina and my favorite part of your call was when you said, I agree with Brian on this instance. You're like very specific. To be clear, this is not a general agreement. But okay, so your friend said, I finally got the wedding venue. What motivated you to respond to that? That doesn't need to be responded to.
I said, yay. Because
But why did you do that?
don't yell at me. I said, yay, because I knew she wanted me to be excited with her. That's why she's texting me.
Well, right.
I'm not saying I don't respond to anything ever unless it's a question. You took it to the extreme where you're saying I said I don't respond to anything ever unless it's a question.
Maybe we're both taking it to the extreme.
Probably.
It kind of feels that way, guys. As a person in the room with you.
Christina, any final thoughts?
I think that we can have a tendency to take things to the extreme. But yes, and obviously, I think that was a little bit of a silly question, Brian, because she's like, why would you respond to that? Well, obviously because she was excited, and so I can see both sides to some extent. But yeah, that's my final thought. So have a great day, guys.
Blessed are the
Have a good
peacemakers.
weekend.
I really like Christina.
You must love Jesus, and again, for clarity's sake, you only agreed with me on this particular item.
That is true. I will never again agree with you. So enjoy it.
Thank you. God bless you, sister. I'm getting a whole bunch of sign language in the studio.
Hey, Christina, hang on the line. I'm going to send you some cool mornings with Brian swag. I can't believe you couldn't interpret that, Brian.
I couldn't
I
interpret
could,
it.
and I was like, why?
Please go
He
look
just
at the
doesn't
live
wa-
stream and see if you could interpret what I was doing.
I thought you're like,
Write down her
Darius
name.
thirsty.
Give her a cup.
Darius thirsty.
Daria.
Darius going
thirsty.
like this. I wanted to interrupt, but I was like, Brian doesn't want to give Christina a
No.
cup. I know what you guys are saying. And
No, I thought, I was like, okay, Daria's thirsty. You're making motions that she's thirsty, that Daria
please go get us all drinks.
has something to share.
Oh my gosh.
Anyway, we got more to say on this because I don't think we've totally resolved it. And because there's a number of people who've agreed with me that haven't had their voices heard yet.
They've been heard just fine.
440-546-2255.
So right now may be the perfect time for you to rethink how you pay for health care. And here's why. This time of year is decision time for a lot of people, but it's also when you can join MediShare and save even more than usual. For many families, joining MediShare means saving about $500 a month, which is a game changer for a lot of people, obviously. But what's more, MediShare members like it a lot. Their satisfaction rate is 98%. Imagine that. And MediShare is a proven thing, too, for over 30 years. It's a Christian community of hundreds of thousands of people now. And here's the thing. If you join before November 30th and you mention the promo code SHARE, they'll waive your application fee. So you save even more right off the bat. I'll give you the number here in a second, but just call and you'll get a price within 2 minutes. And again, the deadline is November 30th. So call now and you'll save even more. Here's the number. 877-58-BIBLE. That's 877-58-BIBLE. 877-58-BIBLE.
It's one of the most iconic sites in the Holy Land, Jerusalem's Western Wall, where we can see the foundation stones of Herod's temple. Hi, I'm Charlie Dyer of The Land and the Book. No question that foundations are important, but as we move toward the end of this year, it's urgent that Moody Radio finishes the year well financially. Your gift now will help us build a strong foundation for 2025. Here's how to build that foundation.
Learn more at moodyradio.org/Cleveland.
Mornings with Brian on Moody Radio Cleveland from 6 to 9 a.m. Get your coffee in hand. Let's start the day.
Texting etiquette. When is a texting conversation over? When do you acknowledge receipt? When do you just leave it? There's intense debate in the studio. In fact, Ron, I feel very picked on.
What?
I was just thinking that reggae promo just brought us down a few notches because it is heated, but mostly because you've come with the heat, Brian.
Oh,
You
I'm
make
sorry.
everything personal.
Because Brian has an opinion?
You make it all personal, though.
This all started with you. You were the one that came after me for saying, Yeah, if it's not like I have to respond to it, I'm not required to respond to it.
Yesterday, I asked, okay, a friend had recently sent me an emoji. Am I supposed to respond to that? You said yes.
Sometimes.
No,
That's my
I'm
answer
not
now.
responding to a heart emoji.
Hearts,
Just
the
a heart emoji?
The heart
She just sent me a heart emoji.
No.
This man said I had to respond to that.
Just to make sure
Out
voices...
of the blue? Just a heart emoji.
We were having a conversation and it ended with a heart emoji.
Oh, well, then it ends.
It's over. Yeah,
Brian,
that's over.
in your world, I said this off the air, we would never stop texting.
Yes, exactly.
Because you
I'm
have
a
to just keep one-upping.
I don't think you understand texting etiquette.
Well, I'll tell you this. This is a common
Yeah, I
thing.
hope you're watching Lauren's face on the live stream.
Unbelievable.
This is a common thing that happens in my car because I will let Siri read me my texts and I will decide if I need to dictate a text. Oh, goodness. Siri's listening right now and lighting up over here. And so my boys will be in the car and my oldest, who has opinions on a lot of things, much like you, actually. And when it says, do you want to respond? And I say, no, he'll be like, you are canceled from the group text, Mom. Like, because usually it's in a mom group text that's running wild and I'm catching up, I'm 47 messages behind and then I'm like, no. And he's like, you're out. You're canceled.
Wow. See, I'm impressed at your courage. Like, I don't even know if I have the courage by myself to have Siri read me text messages.
Why?
I don't know why. I just don't do that.
I'm a busy girl. I got to listen to him in the car.
You should let me know when you're in the car. I can send you weird text messages for your kids to hear. Okay, so somebody texted when we talked about this earlier this week. Yes, you do need to acknowledge a text. It's rude to not acknowledge. Whoa.
There are exclamation points, 3 in there.
Someone else said, I hate to agree with Brian.
I'm seeing a theme here.
But yes, you do have to acknowledge a text. It would be like talking to someone in person and they say something and you just don't respond.
Okay, but texting and talking to someone are not the same thing.
I think this is where some of the generational divide is.
I think we're just so used to texting, we don't realize that texting is actually not great communication.
No, it's not.
You cannot sustain a relationship with texting. You should not treat it as if you're having a face-to-face conversation in regards to social etiquette.
Oh, yeah. No, our marriage counselor was like, okay, you guys cannot have a serious discussion on text. Because we had a couple of sessions where that's where it came from. The whole thing was over the text dispute. All right, let's go to Sarah in Akron. Sarah in Akron, help us resolve this debate.
Okay, so I have a weird perspective on this because, I am 25, so, I am somewhat younger, and I spend all of my time with kids as a teacher, but I was raised as, conservatively homeschooled as you can possibly get.
Okay.
And so the influence of those two things makes things weird. But I would say that for my generation, yes, our whole lives we've grown up with people saying that, texting is not the same as face to face. But especially for us, we don't talk to people face to face. We don't even talk to people in line, at the checkout or when we go get stuff at Starbucks. There's no interaction occurring there. They don't want to talk to me. I don't want to talk to them. We just do our thing, and then talking makes things awkward. And so, for texting, we do treat it like social interaction. If I'm talking to a buddy of mine and he sends me a video, that's his social offering to me, just like we were in face-to-face, and he's like, let me show you this cool thing on my phone, I would say something. I'd be like, oh, man, that's cool, or oh, that's disgusting, gross. And so, stuff does warrant response because it just is how our society reacts. It totally is.
Oh, it sounds like that's correct. The bell just...
I mean...
I like bells.
The bell you control.
Sarah, I'm with you on that, and I feel so young. I mean, I'm clearly connecting socially with a 25-year-old.
Well, I do talk to the people at Starbucks and the people in line. And
Jamie,
I talk to them all.
Old lady.
Jamie.
She's younger than you.
It's because you're Jamie.
Can I hold your baby? I'm still that girl.
Sarah from Akron, thank you so much for the call. I'm so glad you listened. God bless you. All right, so have we resolved this?
No.
See, and one of my questions is, I was thinking about this. Is it a generational divide? Is it a gender divide?
Well, clearly not, because Sarah is about the same age as me and we disagree.
Mm-hmm. It seems like the divide is one's philosophical, and this is far too deep, but I'm going to do it anyway, one's philosophical view of what a text interaction is. I think a text interaction is essentially
a social offering, like what she just said.
Yeah, it's an equal to an in-person conversation. It's the same thing. It's as if we're communicating in person. I'm going to treat this in the same way. But I don't think you view it that way, Lauren.
No, you do not have 24/7 access to me.
Well, right.
Because that's what it would be. If you're requesting me to respond all the time, I have other stuff I'm like doing, working. And if I am at home doing whatever I'm doing at home and you're not there, why do I have to act as if you are there and respond to all of your texts all of the time?
And see, there's a difference in this where like I only view it as a face-to-face interaction when I'm ready to respond. Like if you text me, I'm not going to respond right away necessarily because I'm doing stuff. But the moment the interaction begins, when I've accepted the invitation to respond by text, I treat it as if it's a face-to-face interaction. And
Okay.
I wonder how. So it's not a generational divide. You're saying it's more a philosophical approach, because I think other people agree with me on this. Not that it's the right answer, but I think they're approaching it like it's a face-to-face conversation, because it would be rude face-to-face to totally not respond to someone's words.
Yes, I agree, and I wouldn't do that.
No, I don't think you would. You're a very polite person.
I just don't think people need to have access to me all the time and that I'm required to respond. Because there was a time before texting where if I was at home by myself, no one could get a hold of me.
Right. And I guess I don't even view that texting in and of itself gives people access to me whenever they want, because I get to control when it is.
Exactly.
But the person on the other end of the text that's sending a text, they don't always see it that way. That just subconsciously, a lot of people think everyone has their phone on them all the time. They should respond to me whenever I want them to.
Now, I don't view it that way, but that is true. And I think that could be a generational thing. I have people who maybe are closer, I'm sure way older than Ron. Ron is a very young man. But they view it as like, I know you've seen this anytime I text it. And if you don't respond within 30 minutes, you're probably rude because you're ignoring me.
I get like that with my mom. Just my mom. I'm like, what else are you doing that you can't respond to me?
Oh, yeah. Other than my mom, who do I call 4 times in a row on 3 different, like, the landline, call this. Oh my gosh, something must be wrong. I call my dad's phone.
Yeah, like I'll call my mom's cell phone and then I'll call the home phone. I'm like, they don't go anywhere. Why won't they answer?
My sister will call my mom, and if she doesn't answer, she'll call my dad, and if he doesn't answer, she calls me, asking if I know where our mom and dad are, as if I am nearby.
You live states away.
Yes. She lives in the same state as them. She's like, Mom and Dad are not answering their phone. What are they doing? I don't know. At work?
Wow, so this whole sociological theory even gets deeper. The rules change when it's family.
Maybe.
We should write a book together.
But I'm the family member where they're probably like, where is she? I haven't heard from her in weeks. She hasn't responded to the family group text.
Oh, somebody else throwing down the idea that it's emotional, not generational.
Interesting.
Like it's a personality type issue.
It could be just someone's personality.
Are you saying I'm needy? Is that what you're saying? The answer is yes. Yes, I am.
We had someone call in and say she puts an emoji in her contact cards for people that need response for everything.
It is a personal disposition because, to be honest, my wife Sarah totally disagrees with me on this.
Yes, and that's why when I was texting Sarah the other day, I knew I didn't have to respond.
And sometimes I feel like I have to check on her. Like, hey, so-and-so texted you. Have you responded? Oh, right, yeah. And I just, they're going to think you don't care about them.
That's dramatic.
I know it is.
Well, then there's a whole nother layer to this because I'm a person who will read it and think about what I'm going to respond to, and then I forget.
You got to mark it as unread.
Actually respond.
You got to mark it as unread.
That's right.
I agree. And I do that. But then Sean gets annoyed with me. He's like, why do you have an unread from 3 days ago? And I'm like, because I haven't
responded to it yet.
To that person yet.
That's right. That's what I do.
I have a friend who, in the new iPhones, you can pin a message at the top.
Yeah. And
normally people use them for like family or close friends that you're texting often. Instead, she does the messages she needs to respond to, she pins to the top.
Oh.
Wow. I don't know if I like that, but I'm glad it works for her.
Yes.
I miss sometimes the pinned messages then when there's because they're already up there and
they don't have the little blue dot anymore.
Yeah, no.
It's true.
Yeah, and I don't even I sometimes leave them unread for hours because I'm not going to look at it till I'm ready to respond
that's right.
to it emotionally,
well, thank goodness you
intellectually.
can see the little like preview, right, of what it is.
Yes.
Okay.
So I know if it's urgent.
Exactly.
Now,
if it's something that requires my attention, like go check a calendar, like that's a lot of work, even though the calendar is right there on my phone.
And now, before we get to Ron's news, I want to one more time acknowledge that I feel like now, every once in a while, when I think of Lauren, I think of the "You've Got a Friend in Me" from Toy Story. Because as much as she objects to the way I approach this, she changes her approach to be a friend to me. Lauren, that's so nice.
You're welcome.
You're such a nice person.
Thumbs up reaction.
Mornings with Brian on Moody Radio Cleveland, WCRF Cleveland, WVMS Sandusky, WVML Millersburg, WVMN Newcastle, WVME Meadville, WVMU Ashtabula, and everywhere with the Moody Radio app or at moodyradio.org/Cleveland.
The Supreme Court will release its first opinion of the term today at 10 a.m. Eastern. It's 7:04. I'm Ron Eastwood, Moody Radio News. The High Court heard 9 cases back in October. There was arguments over federal court jurisdiction, ghost guns, and the Oklahoma death penalty. The court did not say which case opinion or opinions will be released, so we'll just have to stay tuned. The Norton fire inspector, a fire safety company employee, and an area business worker were working to decommission an old CO2 fire suppression system yesterday when a valve failed, releasing approximately 1,000 pounds of CO2, which can be deadly. The business worker and the fire safety employee escaped, but the Norton fire inspector was trapped in the building and a mayday call had to be made. The fire inspector was rescued through a second exit door and was checked out at the hospital. And AAA is expecting increased motor vehicle travel across Ohio for this Thanksgiving holiday. The club is estimating that 3.2 million Ohioans are going to hit the road sometime over the next week, and that is the most Thanksgiving road travel since the COVID-19 pandemic. I'll have sports and weather in just a moment.
Moody Radio is thankful for Kingdom Story Company, the creators of Jesus Revolution, now releasing the best Christmas pageant ever. The Herdman kids are absolutely the worst. They lie, they steal, they bully. And when they hijack the town's sacred Christmas pageant, they might also be exactly what the community needs to be reminded of the true meaning of Christmas. Directed by Dallas Jenkins, the creator of The Chosen, the best Christmas pageant ever. Now playing. Rated PG. Parental guidance suggested.
In sports, it was a Cinderella story. The last place Browns beat the AFC North leading Steelers in a 24-19 snow-filled clash. And the Blue Jackets outlasted the Lightning 7-6 in overtime. Here's your Moody Radio Cleveland forecast. Rain showers with a chance of snow showers this morning, then just rain showers this afternoon. It's going to be breezy with highs in the mid-40s. At last check, we did have some flurries in Cleveland, and we're up a degree to 36. Akron and Canton now reporting flurries, 33 the temperature. Cloudy skies over Ashtabula, where it is 41 degrees.
It's time for your moron moment.
Transportation officials are urging drivers to get prepared before winter weather really strikes the region. It's only a matter of time before ice and snow become concerns again. Officials say motorists should make sure that their vehicles are in good shape and have the proper fluids. Don't let your gas levels get too low. Residents are also encouraged to add emergency kits to their cars, including jumper cables, a flashlight, and first aid items. Things like a shovel, water, warm clothes, and a blanket can also be lifesavers for drivers who find themselves stranded in a winter storm. And that's your Moron Moment. And you'll find that on our Facebook and Instagram. It's 7:07. With Moody Radio News, I'm Ron Eastwood.
Mornings with Brian. Moody Radio Cleveland. 103.3 at 6 to 9 a.m.
(711) WCRF, Mornings with Brian. There's lots of reasons to check out our live stream. Text live to 440-546-2255. 440-546-2255. We've got a whole archive of months and months and months of programs in there.
Almost a year now.
Yeah, it'll be a year in January since we launched this.
Mm-hmm.
So I can stop saying months and months. I can say a year. Well, and Daria, you spent all this time. You've got playlists.
Uh-huh. Yeah, if you want to talk about parenting stuff, there's a whole playlist, and I'll just play the next one.
See? And we've also got reels in there.
Or if you love
shorts.
If you love Jamie, there's a Jamie playlist or a Scott Larsing playlist.
There is?
There is a Jamie playlist.
Yes.
Oh, Jamie!
No.
Look, there it is.
No.
You should send out links to people of.
I would never.
Here's
I'm
my
gonna text you
playlist.
the link. I'm going to text you the link for your own playlist.
It's hard enough when I'm on and I will post it because I get in trouble with people, and I didn't today, and I'm like, it's okay.
Why are you going to get in trouble?
Like, you were on and you didn't let us know?
Yeah, they should be upset with
I like
you.
tuning in when you're on, and We're your biggest fans.
Yeah, they should be upset
Now you
with
can send them your own curated playlist.
Or if you like all the Bible questions with Dr. Idelnik, there's a playlist for all the questions. So you could
That
just
is
watch
so cool.
all the Idelnik questions, Dave Safransky questions, because Dari's the best.
Oh, thank you.
That
Text
is
live
awesome.
to 440-546-2255. And if you did that today, you would have seen how funny Lauren was in this last segment. And then I can't see her shirt right now, but our boss texted us last night and said, hey, it's like super casual Friday.
Super extra casual.
And all of us have some sort of block on this. Like I cannot wear sweatpants to work.
I would have, except the ones I wanted to wear were dirty.
But you did choose a shirt that
Yes.
I can't see until you just showed it to me. Can you, for those who can't see it, can you say what it says?
Somebody special calls me grandma.
Why do you have that shirt?
I don't know. I got it in college because I wanted this type of sweatshirt. And I was like, well, that's okay.
When you say type, you mean like crew neck?
Yeah.
Baggy.
Yeah, gray, baggy crew neck. It's what I wanted, and I found it at a thrift store, so I took it.
Someone special.
I believe it was like a mock turtleneck that you cut out.
Yeah, I
anyway.
cut it. It was like too close to my neck. You know when they touch and it's just like too much when they're on your neck? You're like, I can't even
Sarah does that.
breathe because
Especially a
it's touching my
hoodie.
neck. Yeah,
She
so,
likes to cut hoodies.
Yeah, so it was cut.
Never done that. I feel like it's against the rules.
I don't cut clothes
Your
either.
clothes.
Ron, do you ever cut your clothes with
No,
scissors?
of course Ron doesn't.
I cut the sleeves off a short sleeve T-shirt.
Yeah, you do,
Oh,
Ron.
God.
Yeah, you do.
In the summer in UPS, that makes a difference in how much body heat you're held in.
Why didn't you do that today?
Well, by the time I read Josh's,
He was already at work.
I already had packed what I was going to wear, and I'm not going to go up and change.
No, absolutely
Ron,
not.
you've got scissors. I think you ought to cut
His
the
polo.
sleeve.
It's a nice polo.
Not
He's not
this.
cutting that.
Wow, boring. Can I also say,
Are
Jamie?
you going to make fun of me?
No, I love it. You've got a very feminine
Puffer vest.
Puffer vest.
Yes.
It's
if
so
it has
cute.
extra puffy sleeves, I'm in. So I did tone it down for you guys today because this was something that my mom, bless her, loves to shop for me, but
Aw.
is always close, but not quite there. And so I just send her the links of things. And so this was an official, like, this is what I would like for my birthday, Mom. And so she bought this.
Aw.
But then she did what Penny does best and bought what Penny would also buy. And I have a hot pink one with the sleeves as well.
yeah.
And
Oh,
I
yeah.
do love it. I'm not going to lie about it. But it's a lot.
You
I don't
should have
think-
worn it.
Yeah, you should have. That would have been fun.
We'll save it for February. Okay.
No, I don't think it's just a your mom thing. I think it's a mom thing. It just develops over time that in terms of your child's tastes and interests, you get it like almost right.
Almost. But like, it's just, I mean, I can recall Christmases past when I was young, where like this stuff mattered and there were tears shed over it. But like, yeah, she tried. She really tried.
My kids and my wife are very intent with my in-laws. Like, you don't send a Christmas list. You send a link
Yeah.
to the actual product, and then you still may not get that thing. You might get something close to it.
Adjacent.
The thought is what counts. 440-546-2255. It's Follow-Up Friday. What do you want to talk about? 440-546-2255. We got lots of topics from the week that you commented on and stuff we want to talk about, but we'll always yield to you. We like spicy stuff. Maybe you disagree. Ooh, that'd be fun. I'm one of those weird people that likes disagreement. I think it helps us. 440-54. Why did I whisper it? Is what you're thinking? I don't know. Just to get a reaction from you on the live stream.
Okay.
Which is not difficult to do. 440-546-2255.
The following is not an actor, but a real-life story from Trinity Debt Management.
My debt problem started probably about 2016. I needed my life to change financially. I called Trinity and I ended up joining based on high credit card bills and high interest rate. And my counselor at Trinity has been great, and Trinity has been helping me to get on the right path of paying off these credit card bills, bringing down the interest rate. They have consolidated my bills into one low monthly payment. and now I am finally getting out of credit card debt. So I just want to say thank you, Trinity, for showing me a better and greater path.
If you're in debt and you need help, call Trinity at 1-800-659-9838.
My name is Sharon, and soon I will be debt-free for keeps.
1-800-659-9838.
Raju has followed Christ for over 40 years, but he cannot read the Bible. Sometimes it felt like he couldn't know anything about Jesus. Then he received a Bible designed specifically for him, a talking Bible. Now Raju can hear the scriptures played to him in his own language and can easily share about Jesus with others. Help India hear about Jesus by equipping non-readers with talking Bibles. Join us at talkingbibles.org/India.
Mornings with Brian, weekdays 6 to 9 a.m. on Moody Radio Cleveland 103.3 FM.
Raises, people ask for them. Somebody had a question for us about raises in ministry. We'll get to that in just a moment. But don't forget, Christmas with Rebecca St. James is less than 2 weeks away.
Yeah.
Grace Church, Middleburg Heights, December 5th. Was chatting about it with my kids at dinner last night. My oldest daughter, Grace, she was like, hey, Dad, it turns out I can go. I thought I couldn't go. I can go.
Aw,
good.
Now,
fun for the whole family.
But that could change. I mean,
right.
Teenagers, that could change.
We've got 2 weeks.
Right. But Lord willing, she'll be there with a
Yay.
couple of other kids. It'll be a lot of fun. Hope to see you there. Dana Eastwood will be there.
Yes.
Be sure, ladies, to tell her how much you love Ron.
How much you love her husband.
That's her
works.
favorite.
Yeah. It just trips her trigger.
I was laughing with Sarah about that yesterday. We had a good time thinking about that. So the raises thing, I have to say as we get into this, I almost forgot where this came from, but somebody asked us this question. Now, how does that work when you have a job in ministry? Asking for a raise in ministry seems like it could come across very selfish, or you're asking for an amount that isn't even budgeted for or comparable across other churches. Now, it's a provocative and interesting question, and if you make that statement to someone who works in ministry, you're going to get everybody all riled up. But before we get there, I was like, how did this come up? And it came up from, we had a conversation with Dr. Chris Rappazzini. We're talking about leadership and leading up. And I shared something Lauren does that is revolutionary. And I think every employee in every company should do this. When my wife heard about it, she started telling all of her friends at work about it. Will you share your strategy? It's so good.
Sure. It's your time for your annual review. You've agreed upon what your job description is, whatever. If for the next year, you take your job description and anything that's added onto your plate that is not in your job description, that is not just like a one-off thing or every once in a while, but is a new task, new responsibilities, takes up a lot of your time. You were given a new direct report. You add those things onto your job description in red, and you take it to your next annual review and you say, hey, these are the things that have been added to my job description. And if it's weighty enough, if it's enough over time, it gives you leverage to ask for a pay increase because you've been given more responsibility than the job description you agreed upon.
Genius.
It is.
Supervisors listening are driving off the road.
But what about...
They're scared.
Most HR people have developed this tactic over the years to tack on to the end and other duties as assigned.
Yeah, I knew someone was going to bring that up.
Lauren?
That's not... Other duties as assigned is not a permission to abuse people into doing more work and overworking people.
Bosses don't know that.
But you can stick up for yourself. Other duties as assigned are like those things that, one-off things that happen every once in a while.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, can you go grab the food for this Christmas party? Hey, Daria, can you schedule this thing for our team outing? Can you send Christmas cards? Christmas cards is not in my job description. Guess what I'm working on this week? Christmas cards.
And you'd put that in that category.
Yeah. That's other duties as assigned. That's not...
You're not going to open up your job description.
No. That opening up your job description and adding things is like a new project, a new initiative, new things that are taking large portion and chunks out of your work time.
And see, to me, what the classic consequence of not doing this strategy that totally blew my mind and my wife's mind is that you get overworked, your boss looks at you like, what do you mean? You're overworked? Why is that? That doesn't make any sense. And you eventually get so frustrated you leave, and then when you leave, they hire 2 people to replace you.
Yes.
This is the classic thing that happens. It's unjust. It's infuriating. It's happened to people I know and care about. And I think Laura's strategy is the way to try to avoid that, even though it still will happen.
Yeah, it could.
It's a way to try to avoid that. And that's how you can lead up. And a good manager will actually encourage their employees to do that. In fact, you told me you learned that from your boss.
Yeah. My former boss at Moody, she's the one that taught me that. She told me, you need to be bringing me a job description every year with all the things that have been added onto your plate this year. And you need to be asking me for a raise if it is like accounted for. And that's what it would call for.
Mind blown. Like that is, move over Michael Scott, world's greatest boss.
She really is.
That's incredible. Now, we have to address this one, and we have to be careful, of course, because all of us in this conversation work in ministry.
Yes.
So the person's asking, wait a minute, how does that work in ministry to ask for a raise? Doesn't it seem like it could come across as selfish asking for a raise if you work in ministry?
You could feel that way.
I think part of where that comes from is people think that because you work in ministry, there's somewhat of a vow of poverty tied to that. Like, you get to work in ministry, and that's such a privilege. There's a cost to that, and so we're going to delete it from your salary. Wrong.
A ministry is still a business.
Correct.
A ministry is still a place that employs people, that provides people insurance, that provides people benefits. And as we all know, cost of living increases every single year, sometimes big, sometimes small, sometimes the economy's bad, sometimes inflation's really bad. And people's salaries should be able to keep up with that. People shouldn't have to, as Dave talks about, keep putting stuff back on the shelf more and more every single year because their job is not willing to increase their pay to keep up.
And what's going to happen is you're going to have good people that, as much as they love Jesus and love the work they do and want to stay in ministry, because they need the extra income to take care of their families, are going to leave.
Yeah, and this is, as Daria commented off the air on this, but this is one of the reasons there's a shortage of pastors, is that what'll happen is there'll be a church in a community where, let's just say the average salary of employee or of church members is like $80,000, okay? They'll go, all right, we want a senior pastor full-time, and we're going to pay him $40,000.
Yeah.
And so what you're going to do is they can't even live in your neighborhood.
Right.
But you go, oh, well, I mean, it's ministry, it's pastor. It's not supposed to be rich. Rich?
He still has to pay his bills, and you
right.
still want him to have kids, and you still want him to probably send his kids to a Christian school.
Yes.
That maybe he might get half tuition at because he's a pastor, but he still has to pay tuition.
And he's supposed to be ministering to your congregation, but, oh, wait, he has to commute to your neighborhood because he can't live there.
Right.
So with all that in mind, I think the best way to come up with pastoral salary is to figure out the average income in your church.
That's a great idea.
I've heard that before.
I never thought about that before.
And then when you figure out the average, pay above average.
Yep.
Yeah, and there's a lot of pastors where if they started the church, at first they don't have money for retirement savings. I know of a pastor who's going to retire in the next several years, and he started talking in the last couple of years because after 20 years he still didn't have retirement savings. He went to the board and said, hey, I need you guys to think about something for me for retirement. We have to do something for my retirement plan because he hadn't had anything for 20 years for savings for retirement. So a lot of times pastors take cuts in that way because they would like maybe a bigger salary. So they're like, yeah, sure, you don't have to give me retirement, spend the money in my salary because I would like it right now.
Mm-hmm.
But just because someone's a pastor doesn't mean that they need to suffer or not have a retirement plan or not be able to get the things that they need at the grocery store or pay their bills.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've known pastors that have had to be bivocational,
right?
Which takes away the time that they can minister to their congregation.
Absolutely, yeah. And it's becoming more and more of a trend. However, I think somebody could fairly be sitting in their car going, wait a minute. Nice ideas, where do you get that in Scripture? Right, and so I have my own response to that. But how do you all respond to that? Is it biblical to be to pay above average for your pastoral staff, or your nonprofit ministry staff?
Yes, it is, and I'm going to misquote this, but the don't muzzle the oxen while he eats or works in the field, and the laborer is worthy of his wages. There's a lot of verses and teachings about paying fairly. So I would say, why, if you're in that $80,000 community, why would you even think of paying your pastor $40,000? You wouldn't touch a job for $40,000 now. So why should he? You think that little of him personally, or is it the whole idea of someone parsing the word of God to you that makes you so abhorrent to pay them money? You got to rub that in their face. Come on now. This is a legit job, and they're worthy of being paid.
I think it's a fair interpretation of that passage. But if you even do a more, forest for the trees thing, biblically speaking, generosity is a biblical ethic.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
I talked to a pastor once who said that it was hard work, but he trained his elder board that there ought to be a culture of generosity in the church.
Yeah.
And that just makes sense on its face. But that means a lot of different things, right? But I mean, if you look at so many examples in Scripture, like one of the aspects of the parable of the Good Samaritan that really gets me is the open tab.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just about if the guy was a Samaritan. It's not just about that he gave a generous amount of money to the innkeeper or whoever it was. He said, whatever you need, give it to him.
Mm-hmm.
I'll just pay it when I come back. That's radical generosity. And when you look at Jesus' instructions for somebody, or if somebody asks for your cloak, give them two. Like the principle in Scripture, time and again, is generosity. That's what we need to do with our pastors. It shouldn't just be average. I mean, I think average is with the starting point.
Mm-hmm.
Pastoral pay needs to be generous.
And I think there's some churches that aren't able to do that based upon maybe their location or their size. And the pastor does have to be bivocational, and that's okay. I don't think it's wrong for a pastor to be bivocational. Preferably, they wouldn't, so that they can focus on ministry. But if they can't, and they have to be bivocational, then the congregation also needs to expect that they are bivocational and they are not 100% to the church, because they have other responsibilities, and they do have maybe a family that they need to invest time and energy into. And so you can't have full-time expectations of your bivocational pastor.
And yet I would say a lot of churches probably could make just different decisions and pay a pastor full-time. So to me, the priority ought to be local pastor pay, even if it means you're not going to give any money to missions. Because the missionary you're serving you're paying is your pastor.
Okay.
So if you've got these priorities where you got a certain percentage of your tithing that comes into your church as your budget, it should be used for this, this, and this. Only when your pastor is paid fairly can you start to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me I'm crazy.
I don't think you're crazy. I do think this is not to say that local missions or international missions aren't important.
They're very important.
Yes, but if your pastor is suffering, or your staff, if you have staff on church as well, other than the pastor, are suffering, and outside organizations are doing well because of your money, then maybe you need to scale back what you give to others until your pastor can be well cared for.
Yeah, I mean, as in your budget might be really simple. It'll be
might just skew,
facilities, pastor salary. Done.
Yeah. Maybe you hold off on buying the smoke machine or the rotating lights for next year.
And maybe if you don't know if you can sustain a higher salary, maybe we need to bring back the church parsonage. So they get a salary on top of we've got your mortgage, because that is an investment for the church as well as something that is off the mind of the pastor.
The problem with that you have to be careful is if the pastor is there for a while living in the church's parsonage, then all of a sudden when they're ready to move on, most people have been paying on a house and have some equity build up, and the pastor's got squat at that point.
True.
So be careful.
Well, and one other one I just was reading about is oftentimes there's stingy people on elder boards or deacon boards, whatever, that end up being moderately abusive to the pastor in the parsonage, as in,
well, you're
knock,
here,
knock,
so.
knock. Hey, the electric bill's been kind of high. I'm going to come in and look around and see what's going on here. This was a real story.
Oh, wow.
Oh, my.
And they looked around and said, you know what it is? It's this washer and dryer. So you need to stop drying your clothes in there. We need you to. We're going to put up a clothesline. You can dry your clothes on the clothesline.
Well, how about we bring our clothes over to your house then?
How about you buy us an energy efficient dryer?
Yeah.
That was a real story of what happened to someone living in a parsonage. And so if your pastor's been kind of objecting to a parsonage, that may be why. I agree with you, Daria, but I think the parsonage ought to be far away from the church.
So they can't just drop in.
Yeah. I was on a board of a church that it was attached to the parking lot. And it was a thing. People would go over there and knock on the door when at inappropriate times.
We lived in a parsonage for a couple months before.
Did you?
Yeah, before we bought a house.
Because your dad's a pastor.
Yeah, and I don't remember people stopping by, but it was across the parking lot.
That's a lot.
Right. Yeah.
7:33. We're up against a break here, but when we come back, we can either keep talking about this 440-546-2255 or shift gears. It's Follow Up Friday.
I'm Joy Traxel, and this is Pause for Prayer. I was recently listening to a conference, and the speaker shared that he always lights a candle when he's spending time with God. The candle represents that God is with him, and he is the light. I pondered this and decided to add a candle to my morning time with God. It not only provided ambiance, but it also provided a visual reminder that he is the light of the world. Do you need to be reminded that God is always near and can provide light in the darkness? Grab a candle and visualize the light being near. And he is all the light we need. Let's pause and pray. God, we come to you today with an expectation to hear your voice and guidance. We ask that you give us ears to hear and discernment to know when it's the voice of the enemy and not yours. Speak to us now the way a good father speaks to his children. We come to you today knowing that what you have for us is good. God, we thank you for the beauty of this season and how it reflects your majesty and power. As the leaves change, we are reminded of the splendor you have given us. And God, we thank you for other visuals that point us to you. We thank you that even through a candle, we can be reminded that you are the light of the world. Your light directs our path if we choose to follow you and not the world. But we often yearn for the big picture. But through your sovereignty and goodness, you often only give us the next step. God, help us to remember that one step is all we need. Help us to not get ahead of you and to not allow the longings of our flesh to go against the spirit that lives within us. Would you bring opportunities to us that allow us to be the light to others? God, shine through us. We want more of you and less of us. And we ask this in the name of Jesus. Amen.
Show your kids that studying the Bible is fun with this month's Today in the Word family study on the book of 2 Kings. Elisha and our powerful God will teach your children how God talked through the prophets, worked amazing miracles, and always protected his people. To download our free family studies packed with solid Bible teaching and fun kid-friendly activities, go to todayintheword.org. Spend time in God's Word together.
How exciting if God calls you to missionary aviation. Moody Bible Institute offers the Missionary Aviation Technology degree with a maintenance specialist emphasis. It includes engine overhaul, airframe rebuild, turbine engine maintenance and repair, avionics systems installation, and much more. Get started on your application today at moody.edu/aviation. Over 65 years of missionary aviation training. What an exciting way to serve God. moody.edu/aviation.
It's a no negativity zone on Moody Radio Cleveland and Mornings with Brian.
Mornings with Brian. Moody Radio Cleveland. 103.3 at 6 to 9 a.m.
Yes, it would.
Boy. Well, oh well.
I'd love that. But she lives in Nashville.
And she's originally from Australia. So
yeah,
maybe she's going there.
I can't go there.
Oh, but wait, she's going to be here. Lauren's so annoyed.
It was a little cheesy, guys. I mean,
Ron and me being cheesy? What? Yeah, Christmas with Rebecca St. James, sponsored by Compassion International and Christian Healthcare Ministries, is coming to town December 5th. It's a Thursday evening. Again, Grace Church in Middleburg Heights, less than 2 weeks. Get your tickets. VIP tickets are sold out, but we've got room for you in general admission. 440-546-2255. Text CONCERT to 440-546-2255. It's Follow-Up Friday. Got a really interesting text that came in here, Lauren.
I work in the insurance industry, and part of my job requires that I visit churches all over the state. I see so many churches that can barely keep the lights on. The congregation is aging out and dying, and they can't get young people through the door. I've seen some churches close their doors permanently because of this. How can an aging church thrive? Or is it okay for churches to come and go naturally?
Yes.
Yes to both, you're saying.
Yeah. My opinion is it's okay for a church to close up shop, basically. If that's the way it's heading, you can have a service saying, thanks, Lord, for a good run and end it. But another thing you could do is look around at other small to medium churches in your area and say, would you like to merge? If you're similar enough in your doctrine that there's not going to be a problem there, if there's room enough for one church to one building to take on the extra congregation, that could be something that would be beneficial to both. Or a third option is to talk to a big church in your area, one of the mega churches, and say, would you basically adopt us? Would you take us in under your wing and maybe help us to revitalize and revive again?
I love those pieces of advice. I think Reverend Timothy Downey of suburban Illinois, the podcast dad in some respects.
What?
The show dad. Lauren's dad. I'm being dramatic.
My dad.
Lauren's dad. He actually has an opposite view on this, right? Where there's ways for big churches to help little churches.
Yeah, so he oversees, so they have a large church, and he oversees the campuses. So he's the pastor of the pastors, right? So he oversees the campus pastors.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the initiatives he's currently working on is going to different areas that they don't have a church nearby and surveying the area. What is it like? What's the neighborhood like? What's their little downtown neighborhoody like? What's the demographic? He does that for a couple of weeks. He drives around. He finds out churches in that area and then starts contacting them and asks to meet with them. And most of them are small churches or churches that look like they're not doing so well.
Mm-hmm.
And he'll ask to meet with them and say, how can we help you? This is who we are. We have these funds. We would like to help you. What do you need?
Isn't that cool?
Love that.
Some may say, we want to live stream, but we don't know how, or we don't have the technology to do that. And he's like, well, great. I have a whole entire tech team of very qualified people that are running a very pristine live stream. Let me get them over to you for a couple of weeks to teach you, train you, whatever you need, get your tech implemented. Or maybe it's, we don't have, our pastor is sick or our pastor is aging and he's not able to preach every week. Okay, well, let me get you a pastor in here that can help take over some of the teaching.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever their need is, they're willing to help. And if it goes to the extreme is, let us adopt you. We'll take you, stay here. We will push funds to you to adopt you. You become a part of our church. You change your name, but all your people stay, your pastor stays, whatever, and we adopt you. But if that's not what they want, and sometimes that's a hard decision to make for a congregation, and they don't want to do that, they're willing to help in other ways, kind of like a fostering. We're going to help you get along however you need to do.
Do churches ever that are struggling go, no, thank you, we don't want your help?
Yes.
Why do they do that?
His thought is that it's just too hard to accept help or to accept that you're struggling.
It's a human condition, not just and then I guess it extrapolates into a church body.
Yeah. It's hard to see that your church is struggling, that your congregation is either aging or just dwindling just for other reasons.
Wow. Yeah, I think there's a lot of options out there. But again, Ron, you're right. I think sometimes just the church has run its course. It's not a failure. It's just whatever need that particular congregation was meeting is no longer needed.
Right.
And that's okay. You feel good about that, Jamie?
I do feel good about it, although I really want to just hang out with Lauren's dad now.
Yeah, he's the best.
But,
Isn't he cool?
Yeah, that's so cool. But I can see where a church, I think we get used to our own surroundings. We get used to our own mess and our own issues, right? And so, and not even necessarily that a dying church has issues. It's just running its course, but you get used to that. And so I can understand how it would be hard to accept help and accept, quote, defeat, because it's still yours, just makes you, I mean, think about how many churches that we see that are tiny and struggling, and yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
Just
I
made me
mean,
think.
you never know what'll happen in a church body when things start to shift. A cool story that my wife and I experienced, we were members of a church on the south side of Chicago called Oakdale Covenant Church. And I believe it was in like the 1960s, the demographics in the south side of Chicago started to change. And this particular denomination decided they want to be strategic. And so they strategically placed a African-American pastor to co-pastor this church. And now, do I have to tell you what started to happen? The white people started leaving. He thought his job, this was Pastor Willie Jemison, he thought his job was going to ultimately be turn the lights off and lock the door. But that's not what happened.
No.
It brought in a new generation of people.
Yes, the demographics of the church eventually shifted, and it became one of the largest African-American churches in that denomination. So what ended up originally being a real tragic story ended up being a triumphant one. And we ended up just, we were like the only white people there. But it was beautiful to see the church even still celebrate that idea that the church shifted and that's its origin story, and that's okay. So why not try something new in a church to keep it going? 7:48, it's time for us to get to a break, but we want to talk to you. What do you want to talk about today? You want to continue this discussion? Maybe you have another topic you want to bring up from this week? 440-546-2255.
Thanksgiving will be here before you know it. And one short week afterwards, Rebecca St. James will be in concert at Grace Church in Middleburg Heights. Tickets are going fast, so if you'd like to celebrate Christmas with us and your family, don't wait any longer. Get your tickets to Christmas with Rebecca St. James, sponsored by Compassion International and Christian Healthcare Ministries. Text CONCERT to 440-546-2255 or go to moodyradio.org/Cleveland and click or tap on Rebecca's lovely face.
If you are 65 or older, you know this, inflation is hitting everyone hard right now, especially when it comes to healthcare. Over the last 10 years, healthcare costs have skyrocketed by, get this, 230%. If you have Medicare Parts A and B, you know there are still out-of-pocket expenses like deductibles and copayments, and they really add up. But here's some good news. MediShare 65 Plus is designed to fill in those gaps and help protect you from rising healthcare costs. At only $99 per month up to age 75, you get peace of mind at a price you can afford. And MediShare is trusted, too. It's been around 30 years. It's not some big impersonal thing. It's a community of people helping each other, business owners, pastors, retirees. People love it. MediShare 65 Plus just makes sense. To learn more, give them a call. They're great to talk to. They'll offer to pray with you each time you call, too. Call now, 833-59-SHARE. That's 833-59-SHARE, 833-59-SHARE.
Good morning, Cleveland. Thanks for choosing us to help you start your day. It's Mornings with Brian on Moody Radio Cleveland.
Mornings with Brian. Moody Radio Cleveland. 103.3 at 6 to 9 a.m.
2255. The lovely and talented Jaime Buxton from City Mission with us all morning.
Yay!
You having fun yet?
I hit the wall of tiredness just now.
Oh, just now.
Woohoo! Yeah.
You did
You know,
good.
you get up, you get moving.
Yeah.
And then you sit
I
here
know
for
most
2
people
hours.
are like,
yeah.
oh, we're just getting up. But like, these guys wake up a lot earlier than we do. Most normal people.
3:30.
Is that you do 3:30? Huh?
I do 3:30.
How does that feel?
So that
after-
I can snooze till 3:45.
Yeah, I don't have enough confidence in myself to do that.
What time do you go to bed?
9:30. Hopefully.
But it's unpredictable with little kids.
Well, yeah.
So
Sometimes.
you're like 2 years in, right? 2 years?
Yeah.
So how's that going? 3:30. You feel good about it?
Yeah, I feel fine.
Yeah, I tried to explain it to people years ago where it's like I was tired when I was a teacher and got up later because I got about the same amount of sleep.
Because you just go to bed later.
Yeah, you're just like, I should go to bed at this time, and then I didn't.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just, you're the same tired earlier.
Yeah, that's right.
But
Don't ask my brain to be turned on at like 5:00 p.m.
Right. Yeah, I become useless
Yeah.
earlier than you.
Yes, that's exactly right.
I have noticed, though, for me now, I should go to bed at 9. That's my plan. If I go to bed at 9:30, tomorrow, really, I should go to bed at 8:30 because there needs to be some
makeup.
catch up.
Yeah.
It's getting harder and
That's
harder
funny.
the older I get. So
Well, I went to bed at 11:30.
See that?
Oh, my
and
goodness,
woke up
Jamie.
at 4:15.
Oh, my goodness.
4:30. So yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I'm on the struggle bus, but
I feel like a Napoleon Dynamite comment would be in order. Like, you don't even need beauty sleep, so you could just not ever go to sleep.
wow.
On Sundays, I really do struggle because I've slept in for 2 days, like extensively slept in. So I'm not tired on Sunday evening.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a tough one.
And then I just like I'm like laying there because I still am like, got to go to bed. Can't.
Yeah, I've done that where I come in here Monday morning after about 3 hours of sleep.
Oh, it's just horrible.
Not a good show.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, I don't know how to fix that. I think
don't know either.
Well, I mean, Benadryl does work eventually.
Oh, good heavens.
But you don't want to medicate every
I'm
Sunday.
not going to drug myself.
Well, I mean,
No.
some people do that pretty
I know.
regularly.
I
They'll
know
do
they
like
do, and that's-
melatonin. They'll do
Melatonin, yeah.
Tylenol PM, which is essentially Benadryl and Tylenol.
Yeah, I'm happy for them. I'm not choosing that for myself.
You're fasting, right? From isn't that you told me you're fasting from medicine?
That's not what I said.
You're fasting from medicine?
That is not what I said. I said I've stopped allergy medicine like Zyrtec or Claritin and Sudafed, which was a normal routine for me, the real kind, not the fake kind.
Yep.
Which was a normal routine for me since I got pregnant, and I don't take any of those things when I was pregnant, and I just haven't started up again. I'm gonna try to keep it that way.
And then I was scared because I thought you didn't medicate for headaches. But
Yeah,
you
I don't know how
clarified.
that translates. You really always just jump to the next level without anyone saying anything. I say, I'm not taking Zyrtec or Sudafed since I gave birth. Well, what do you do for headaches? Well, that's not what I said.
Well, because the way I interpreted that was you're just not doing meds anymore. But it's
No,
obviously
Not
I took-
allergy meds.
If I have a headache, I'll take Tylenol. It's just not I don't have it sitting on my desk like you do.
Yeah,
Part
the
of it is
giant size version.
eating it like sixlets.
No one wants the giant communal Tylenol that is probably expired. I think just you and Josh use that.
I was teeing you up for talking about
Yeah, your giant.
my bottle of acetaminophen I have right here.
It's right there.
Is it expired?
It's
I'm
been
going
there
to
a
ask
while.
a silly question.
Is it expired?
Is it?
I remember
Oh,
looking
so
at it. I
what
think
is
it's,
it?
I think
What
it's,
is
you're
it?
out of date. Am I right?
I mean, it's not that bad. Yes, I raised my
Yeah,
glasses.
he did have to raise his glasses.
July of 24.
Okay, that's not too bad.
I think we're still good.
I have found stuff in the fridge from 2018.
Oh,
What,
please.
this fridge?
No, not here.
This fridge, yes.
Probably this fridge too.
I went through it and I threw out some ketchup and mustard one
Sick.
time and it was really old.
I know
Sick.
she listens, so I won't be too specific. Is it perhaps
Someone in my family?
someone in your family
Yeah.
that rhymes with BB, maybe, or
Yes.
had something from 2018 this year in her fridge?
Last year.
Yeah, my wife, first thing she does when she gets to her parents' house is start digging through the cupboards to check expiration dates. And it's
I
regularly
don't
shocking.
want my parents to be poisoned.
Yeah.
So I'm going to remove it for them.
They're used to it. Listen, my mom is listening, and this is my parents moved a long time ago now, but they actually moved expired food into their new house.
No, they
and
didn't.
years after
No, they
that,
did not.
yes, I promise you, Sean and I had only been married a short time, and my mom was like, "Oh, go get some caramel out of the pantry." We were having like ice cream sundaes, and Sean was like, "This expired like 10 years ago." And she's like, "Oh, it's still good. It's never been opened." And Sean was like in disbelief. And I'm like, "Yeah, have the caramel. Like, it's just how you were raised." Like my parents. Yeah.
No, I think it's something that develops with age, Ron.
Yeah.
But I think there's a tolerance because I'm like, they're fine. I'll have a little caramel.
I would.
How do you remember it's in there if after 10 years it's not been opened?
Well,
that is so true.
That's the sad thing. Well, I think she was like, I know there's some in there, but like, I don't know. I
can't remember what groceries I bought last week, let alone 10 years ago.
Well, I think that's also...
It's hard with condiments. But
it is. And I think it's a problem. It was my dad was saying this to her last week. Like, I'm really putting them on like out today. Sorry, Mom and Dad. We have too big of a pantry. It's too deep. And that's the problem. I think it's a really American problem.
You can't get in there.
We buy bulk ketchups and mustards and then forget, that it's...
So you keep buying more.
Because we keep buying more. And then you've got one from 2018. And hey, the seal is still on. Jaime Buxton probably will eat it. Sean, not so much.
We have a colleague at Moody that talked about her grandma. They grabbed some ranch dressing out of her fridge that was like, 10 years old.
Oh,
and she said,
no.
"Oh no, it's fine. The spice is in there. Keep it good."
Oh.
No, that's not it.
I bet it tasted really spicy.
And that, like, yeah. When you say 10 years old, like, it's not like the caramel that was already 12 years old that we just cracked open and put in the fridge, but like...
It's already open.
Yeah, I don't know. That's different for me.
I think I told you guys off air, but just to put her on blast, like my wife, we all inevitably turn into our parents in some measure.
Yes.
And so my wife, like I said, will go to her parents' house and she'll dig through the cupboards and throw out expired things. Last weekend, I got up on Saturday. She got up before me. Mm-hmm. And I went over
so bad.
And I was like, I look at the coffee maker and it's off and it's obviously from yesterday. And I'm like, it's kind of like, I wish my wife would have made coffee because it's kind of whoever gets up first should do that. I look over and she's sipping on coffee. I'm like, what's going on? She goes, "Oh, I just reheated stuff from yesterday. It's good enough for me." And I was like, okay, I've been open. We have Folgers and well water, okay? It's not even that great the day of. And I looked at her. Her mom's name is Paula. And I looked at her. I took a big risk. And I said, I go, "Okay, Paula, it must be good enough for you."
Did you make new coffee?
I made a fresh pot.
Yeah.
The next day, fresh pot of coffee.
That's scary.
It worked for now, but I'm like, honey, no.
It does not go over well.
No, we're not saving money like that. We're not going to reheat old Folgers.
I've done that.
Ron,
that's
why?
No surprise, though, right?
Why, Ron? It's an age thing. It's good enough for me.
Yeah, it was only a day old, less than a day probably, and it was there. Why spend money throwing out that and then just make some more?
The next complaint with age is my grandma used to say, "Oh, it's too much food." She would order off the senior menu, which was the same meal, just less portions. Mm-hmm. It's too much food here.
Gigi texted. She said, "Oh yeah, it's a gift all older people have."
Yes. It is an age issue. It's 8:03 on WCRF.
Mornings with Brian on Moody Radio Cleveland, WCRF Cleveland, WVMS Sandusky, WVML Millersburg, WVMN Newcastle, WVME Meadville, WVMU Ashtabula, and everywhere with the Moody Radio app or at moodyradio.org/Cleveland.
There are about to be a record number of women serving in state legislatures across the United States. It's 8:03. I'm Ron Eastwood, Moody Radio News. That's according to an analysis from the Rutgers Center for American Women and Politics. The report shows that after the 2024 elections, the number of women projecting to have seats in state legislatures will go up by at least 19. That's about a third of all state seats in the nation. Freestanding public restrooms are coming to Cleveland. The city has plans to install them in 4 locations. 2 will be located in the Canal Basin Park, 1 in Perk Plaza at Chester Commons, and the 4th is being planned outside of the Virgil E. Brown Building along Payne Avenue. And the number of travelers passing through Cleveland Hopkins International Airport is declining. The airport says that despite months of steady growth, passenger volume dropped by more than 7% in October compared to October of last year. I'll be right back with sports and weather.
Thanksgiving will be here before you know it. And one short week afterwards, Rebecca St. James will be in concert at Grace Church in Middleburg Heights. Tickets are going fast, so if you'd like to celebrate Christmas with us and your family, don't wait any longer. Get your tickets to Christmas with Rebecca St. James, sponsored by Compassion International and Christian Healthcare Ministries. Text CONCERT to 440-546-2255 or go to moodyradio.org/Cleveland and click or tap on Rebecca's lovely face.
In sports, the last-place Browns beat the AFC North leading Steelers in a 24-19 snow-filled clash. And the Blue Jackets outlasted the Lightning 7-6 in overtime. Here's your Moody Radio Cleveland forecast. Rain showers with a chance of snow showers this morning, then just rain showers this afternoon. It's going to be breezy with our highs in the mid-40s. And at last check, we had cloudy skies now in Cleveland, 37 degrees. Akron and Canton reporting some light snow, 34 the temperature. And Lorraine, Elyria, cloudy and 36.
It's time for your moron moment.
Transportation officials are urging drivers to get prepared before winter weather really strikes the region. It's only a matter of time before ice and snow become concerns again. Officials say motorists should make sure their vehicles are in good shape, your tires are included in that, and that you have the proper fluids. And don't let your gas levels get that low. Residents are also encouraged to add emergency kits to their cars that include jumper cables, a flashlight, and first aid items. Things like a shovel, water, warm clothes, and a blanket can also be lifesavers for drivers who find themselves stranded in a winter storm. And that's your Moron Moment. And you'll find that on our Facebook and Instagram. It's 8:07. With Moody Radio News, I'm Ron Eastwood.
Mornings with Brian. Moody Radio Cleveland. 103.3 at 6 to 9 a.m.
WCRF, where do Americans get their news and information? I was shocked by a study that came out on this. We'll chat about it here in just a minute, but don't forget, Christmas with Rebecca St. James is coming up in less than 2 weeks. Thursday, December 5th, Grace Church in Middleburg Heights. A bunch of us are going to be there. We can't wait to see you there. I'm 90% sure Lauren's going to have her InSync Christmas t-shirt.
Oh, I sure hope so.
I don't have any other Christmas attire, so...
I made the city mission staff listen to New Kids on the Block Christmas yesterday while we were signing Christmas cards.
How did you do that? Like you were in charge of the music?
I was not in charge, but I
Jaime
made
Buxton,
myself
by the
in
way.
charge. I was
She's
like,
the Czar of Fun.
Yeah.
hey, this music is a little slow. Let's have a little funky Christmas.
Is that one of the songs?
Yes.
I have to go do Christmas cards after this, so maybe I'll do that.
That's a good idea. Now, I'm guessing Ron's going to have his green sparkly sweater.
Oh, yeah, that's my plan.
Is this real or is this
He
fake?
has a
No,
sparkly
it's real.
sweater.
It's real.
I'm
yeah.
not
You have
making
a
that up.
sparkle sweater?
Mhm.
I love
And a
that.
Christmas
With
hat.
like a red collar and some red
there
around
you
the
go.
pocket.
Maybe I need to go thrifting and find something Christmassy.
Well, Sarah took out, she actually keeps them in our Christmas decorations as we have like 3 or 4 ugly Christmas sweaters. I had a pretty good one last concert. I'll have to wear a different one this time.
Yeah, I've decided I'm going to go thrifting. I'll find something.
Yeah, but see, the trouble is now thrift stores have figured this out. They mark them up.
They sure do.
Or you can go
I'm
to
not
Kohl's.
going to go on Amazon.
Well, Kohl's has like a section too of ugly Christmas sweaters, but those are even more expensive than
Even
the actual
more.
sweaters
Yeah. They are.
because they know we want them.
They know
Yeah.
we can't live without them.
Just go raid your grandpa's closet, and that might do it.
Oh, he doesn't. He doesn't. Have...
Does Gigi have some sweaters you might wear?
No.
Oh, I've
My
got
dad has
one
one.
I would let you borrow that it'd be a little bigger on
Is
you,
it
but
ugly?
it is worth it. It is a Penny Seaman original.
Okay.
And there are stockings that actually you can put candy canes
That
in
is
across
cute.
your mantle.
That's cute.
The shirt has little.
Yes, there's a whole little like family room scene, and there's a fireplace and the actual stockings you can put
really
stuff
cute.
in.
Does she wear that?
No, I stole it years ago.
Oh, absolutely. I'd be taking it.
And you wear it?
I sure do wear
Do you put
it.
things in the stockings?
I absolutely. Why do you think I know that candy canes perfectly fit inside the stockings?
I love it.
My dad used to have one. I don't know if he still does or if my sister took it. My mom will have to let me know. It was a white crew neck sweatshirt.
Okay.
And it had Christmas lights. Like, they're not quite a triangle, but they're kind of triangular. Stringed lights all in the front, like in a little bunch. And on the back, it's the string lights into the mouth of a cat, and the cat's being electrocuted.
Oh, I like that. Could you light them up or not?
I don't think so.
No, it was before
No.
that kind of technology.
Yeah, this was the
Or that kind of
90s.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well,
So if he has
Maybe
that
it
one,
was
I would
made
take
with
it.
glow puffy paint.
Oh, yeah. Glow in the dark.
Well, if you have one of those sweaters, you should wear it to the Christmas with Rebecca St. James concert. To get your tickets today, just text concert to 440-546-2255, 440-546-2255. We did have a very good question just pop in related. Lauren, when are we going to start to play Christmas music? It's a good question that I can't answer.
Yes, Monday, December 2nd, so after Thanksgiving.
Mm-hmm.
We'll play them on our show.
We'll play them on our show and throughout the day, right? Or just maybe
Our
sprinkled
show
in there.
primarily. We don't do a lot of music.
And then for sure, throughout our show, we'll have some. And then the week of Christmas, let me get my dates right, 24, 25, 26 is Christmas music. Maybe
Okay.
it's 23, 24, 25, all day.
3, 4, 5.
23, 24, 25 is Christmas music all day. But starting next week during our show, it's Christmas music for our songs. And by next week, I mean the week after that.
Side note, did you know that they make beard ornaments?
Oh.
That's gross.
Not surprised.
I don't like that very much.
What's gross? Why was that gross?
Yeah, it is. You shouldn't
Thank
do
you.
that.
No, I don't understand why it's gross. I clean my face. Ron, you clean your face.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think your beard is gross.
Nor yours, Brian.
Thank you. What would be wrong with us wearing ornaments on our beards?
I don't know. But my knee-jerk
Daria's got
is
a
that it's
face.
kind of gross.
But girls tie stuff into their hair, into braids and stuff all
Gross.
the time.
Ew, gross.
Why is there enough friction in your beard that stuff can hang in there?
It's a whisker. It's not. I'd say come over here and feel it, but that'd
No,
be
thank
exceptionally
you.
weird. I could come over there if you're interested.
No.
No.
I'm not going to touch your beard at all.
Well, but I mean, okay, so why is it not when girls put little decorations in their hair, it's not gross. But when boys put decoration in their hair, it's gross.
Because it's not the same hair. You're just like on your face.
Why is it?
Facial hair is just different.
You just said that like you're about to throw up.
Right now, I kind of feel like I am.
Why?
I can't explain it, but it's different.
It's just is.
I don't have the words to describe why it's different, but it is.
Ron, we should do this now.
You guys are outnumbered.
We're oppressed, Brian.
We are. We're an oppressed minority.
Poor guys.
Lauren, will you look
Yes.
it up on
What?
the internet so you can see what this feels like?
No.
See what this feels like?
Ew.
It's festive. Look
No,
at these
it's
guys.
not.
These
It's
guys
sick.
have tiny little Christmas balls in their beard, like little red and green ones, gold ones.
Nope.
And they have the little top that's like the little ornamental part.
Look at how cheap they are. Just $10 or less.
Look at that
Walmart
guy.
has it for $3.55.
You can go waste $3.55 of your own money
But
then.
please
Look
don't
at
But
what-
do
expect
not
us to
do
like
not
it.
bring
Look
it
at-
into this
oh.
workplace.
One guy
You would
with beard
never.
ornaments is being hugged by a woman.
It's a stock photo.
It's
And I'm
AI.
pretty
Look
sure
at that.
that's a photo, and they just put like those are not real in
Yeah,
his
that is-
beard. Those
yeah.
are not actually in his beard.
Those were
Obvious.
added.
It's like so
post
obvious.
Hug.
This is real. This picture right here is real of this man.
Yeah, well,
That
I
would win
think-
you a weird contest.
guys, I think
Are you
it'd
going
be
to do
handsome
that
if
on
you would do
December
that.
5th at Rebecca St.
Well,
James?
if all of you are going to talk about how gross I am, I'm not going to put it on my face and everybody talk about gross I am.
I
That
mean,
sounds
if it makes you feel
depressing.
better and you scroll down to that woman who has it in her hair, also not that attractive. A
These?
little further down.
This one?
No, a little further down.
Keep going.
Keep
Keep
going.
going. Keep going.
Right there.
This-
See,
this
that's not cute.
Yeah, it isn't cute. You're right.
I'm surprised you don't like it because it's a woman with ornaments in her
Oh,
hair.
Brian.
Sexist.
Oh, Brian, stop.
Hashtag me too, Ron.
Look at that. It's
Yeah.
whiskers versus hair. That's who said that. You said that, Lauren.
No, Brian. Because I asked why is there so much friction, like
Yeah,
how
I
it can
do
hang
wanna
in
know
there.
how they attach because I feel like
Because
a
you
normal
condition your beard,
ornament,
right?
a little,
oh
no, I'm
my
not
gosh,
touching you.
Brian is
mean-
leaning over
Here.
to Jamie.
Lauren.
Please don't come over here. No, thank you.
Touch it.
No, thank you.
Why?
That's
So
weird. I don't
Ron,
want you,
how do
I
you
don't want you
explain it?
touching my beard, so
It's
I
more
don't want to touch
close.
yours.
Me either.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't. Maybe that's it. As a middle-aged woman, and I'll just claim it.
Go ahead.
What you're attaching ornaments to is what I'm plucking out every morning.
It's Follow Up Friday on WCRF.
Moody Radio's thankful for support from listeners and businesses like Deerfield Ag Services. They help in adaptation of new technologies and techniques of farm and business management. More information about Deerfield Ag and how they can help is at deerfieldagservices.com.
Counseling. It's what God created you to do. When you earn your Master of Arts in Clinical Mental Health Counseling from Moody Bible Institute, you'll be equipped to help others become who God created them to be. Study at Moody's Chicago or Michigan campus, where you can secure certificates in the areas of marriage, family, and couples counseling, as well as trauma-informed counseling. Learn more and get started on your counseling career today. Go to moody.edu/counseling.
The 2024 presidential election is over. Some people are devastated. Some are elated. Either way, one thing is certain. Abortion laws at the state level have become more permissive, and the availability of the abortion pill will continue to increase. More mothers, fathers, and unborn children are at risk today than the day before the election. As a pro-life person, you may be asking yourself, now what? As God's people, we have a higher calling to mobilize our churches, the body of Christ, to provide compassion, hope, and help to women and men at risk for choosing abortion. Your church can become a beacon of life in your community today. Visit the CareNet website and explore Making Life Disciples, a program designed to help your church reach those at risk for abortion, save unborn lives, and make disciples for Jesus Christ. Click on For Your Church at care-net.org.
Mornings with Brian. Moody Radio Cleveland. 103.3 at 6 to 9 a.m.
It's 8:23 on WCRF Moody Radio Cleveland. It's a follow-up Friday. We still have time for you and your comments and your topics. 440-546-2255. Ron and I are still standing fairly alone in the idea of beard ornaments being a good idea.
Yeah.
Well, you have somebody texting in who showed us, his beard ornaments.
I think he looks great.
He said there's clips, so they clip in there, which
I figured.
answers my question.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you're going for funny, like it says he was winning an ugly Christmas sweater contest, maybe. But if you're trying to win over Rebecca St. James, I'm thinking you should stay away from the beard ornaments.
I think I already lost on the winning over Rebecca St. James competition.
Yeah, some fella named Cubby is her husband.
Oh, that's cute.
I bet he doesn't wear beard ornaments.
Is that his nickname?
Yeah, I believe so.
Oh, okay.
But
I'm not going to bring
it
up. I'm not going to bring
Hey, how's Cubby? Cubby the hubby.
I'm sure
That's what I was
you'll
going to say.
probably
Cuddly
meet him.
hubby is Cubby.
No, we actually have some clips of her from my interview with her where I brought up, of course, since she's Australian. She hasn't lived there since she was 14.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to say how old she is now, but it's been a while. And I said, hey, I've heard from my friend Ron that's you say, have a good Chrissy.
Have a good Chrissy. Yes, I love it. Thanks, Brian.
That didn't sound very enthusiastic.
She's a little dismissive. She was over you, Brian.
Right. She's like, yep, that's it. Thanks. Good. And I go, well, if anyone walks up to you and says, have a good Chrissy, you can blame my friend Ron.
Okay, I will. I'll definitely blame Ron.
Also, she's ready to be done. Sorry, Rebecca St. James. I'm sure you're delightful, but Brian just rubs us all that way sometimes.
Oh, yeah, it's got nothing to do with her.
She's not alone. Her first interaction with him ever.
Do I need to go around the table and see if there's any empathy here?
I actually just want to come now so I can see her reaction to meeting you in real life.
I'm going to keep it, as they say, low key.
You have
Brian
no
talks a
low-key.
big game.
There is no low key switch on you.
Elaborate, Lauren. Brian talks a big game.
He likes to act like he's going to do all this stuff, and he would never actually put beards in his ornament. He would never actually say,
Put
have
beards
a
in
good
his
Chris.
ornament?
What? I'm going to get you a beard ornament. He would never put ornaments in his beard or actually say, have a good Chrissy to Rebecca St. James in person. He would never.
But
No.
you said it on the phone.
It's
yeah,
different.
because he can hide.
It's on the phone. I'm hiding, and I can blame it on somebody else. I say one of my lines is, I'm personally and professionally all talk. And it's true.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes I do stuff. Like when Lauren and I went to Lorraine Correctional.
I knew you were going to say this. I was just thinking about it.
Pastor Scott invited us to go to Lorraine Correctional, and I had some silly questions I wanted to ask. And so I would wait till the end to talk to the warden, and I would say, all right, before we go, my friend Lauren would be really upset if I didn't ask you this question. And then one of them was, I think it was, how real is Shawshank Redemption? Is that what it's really like?
Lauren wants to know how real is it?
And then I said something about Escape from Alcatraz, and she goes, we don't say that word here, or something like that. And I was like, oh, Lauren wanted me to say that.
Embarrassing.
And yet you're laughing
it's
about it.
truly so out of embarrassment.
It makes a good story.
For who? You. I had to endure it.
Yeah, that's true. So
Oh.
there you go.
Our CFO is texting me from the city mission. Shout out to John. Big yes to beard ornaments and glitter.
Well, he better
Beard
have him
glitter?
at his party.
Oh, boy.
Oh, beard glitter.
No.
That's
Would you do what? Put hairspray in your beard and then do glitter?
I don't
so
want
it stays?
hairspray in there.
Well,
No,
how's it going to stay?
Haven't you seen what the girls do these days? They put it right into hair gel. You get good,
Oh.
thick glitter and you pour it into hair gel and then you paint it on.
I thought
Interesting.
it came with the glitter in it.
I think a lot of people, I'm sure you can buy your own, but I have seen some, maybe it's from just Facebook Reels. I have seen how you make your own.
A glittery hairspray was a thing when I was growing up, I remember.
Yeah.
Like hairspray, hair gel.
Did you do that?
I think I probably did.
Oh, cute. Daria, do it again.
What?
I was 8. I don't think it's becoming of me anymore.
I should style my beard. I could do like.
Quit.
Stop doing that.
People don't like when you rub your beard into the mic.
Oh.
I don't like it when you rub your beard into the mic.
Like that?
We need to go to a break.
I was going to say.
This is too much.
Okay, we need to go to a break, Lauren says. 440-546-2255. When we come back, we do have much more to discuss, but we can talk about whatever you want to talk about, whether it's beard glitter, beard ornaments, anything beard related.
Or something else.
440-546-2255.
Welcome to today's encouragement from Our Daily Bread. Making Wise Choices was written by Patricia Raybon. Sell my late mother's house? That decision burdened my heart after my beloved widowed mother passed away. This was in 2008, and a global recession left us with no buyers. Then, while reading my Bible one morning, this passage from Proverbs 14 grabbed my eye. Where there are no oxen, the manger is clean, but abundant crops come by the strength of the ox. The proverb spoke of farming, but I was intrigued by its message. An unoccupied stall stays neat, but only with the mess of inhabitants would it yield a harvest of crops, or, for us, a crop of value and family legacy. Calling my sister, I asked, what if we keep Mama's house? We could rent it. We had no plans to turn Mom's home into an investment, but the Bible, as a spiritual guide, also offers practical wisdom. As David prayed in Psalm 25, show me the right path, O Lord. Point out the road for me to follow. With our choice, my sister and I have been blessed to rent Mama's home to many lovely families. We also learned this life-changing truth. Scripture helps guide our decisions. Your word is a lamp for my feet, wrote the psalmist, a light on my path. May we walk in God's light. Today's encouragement was provided by Our Daily Bread Ministries.
Moody Radio is thankful for Kingdom Story Company, the creators of Jesus Revolution, now releasing the best Christmas pageant ever. The Herdman kids are absolutely the worst. They lie, they steal, they bully, and when they hijack the town's sacred Christmas pageant, they might also be exactly what the community needs to be reminded of the true meaning of Christmas. Directed by Dallas Jenkins, the creator of The Chosen, the best Christmas pageant ever. Now playing. Rated PG. Parental guidance suggested.
Making assumptions is rarely a good idea. That's true when it comes to thinking healthcare costs can't be affordable. Christian Healthcare Ministries has been helping believers meet their healthcare needs for over 40 years. It's not insurance, it's a ministry. Visiting chministries.org/Moody eliminates assumptions and shows how this unique model has worked to meet the healthcare needs of hundreds of thousands of Christians. Get more information and have your questions answered at chministries.org/Moody.
They say family knows you best. Here's Brian's older brother with a message for you.
At least my little brother was able to make a career out of talking non-stop.
It's Mornings with Brian on Moody Radio Cleveland.
Mornings with Brian. Moody Radio Cleveland. 103.3 at 6 to 9 a.m.
Shannon Wexelberg on WCRF. Where do Americans get their information and news? Demographically, it's shifting. We're going to chat about that here, I promise. Also, quick heads up, we're going to be off next week for the Thanksgiving holiday. But I've already gone through with Ron and Kelly separately, not together, but all the material we've pulled for you, and we got some great stuff to listen back to. Some of my very favorite conversations we've had in the last few months will be re-aired next week with me giving like a, how you doing, everybody? Here's something from before, right before it. Again, if you're not in the live stream, you're missing out on all the facial expressions.
I'm expecting at least 12 highlight reels of me through that time then. Your favorite conversations.
If you didn't get an email from me yesterday or the day before, no.
Not it.
I don't think you're in any of those.
That's because I don't, yeah.
They were too good.
Well, you don't come on for segments. You come on for the whole thing. So.
Yeah.
So there you go. So listen in next week, and also you can check out the live stream to dig through the archives. Text live to 440-546-2255. So there's some statistics about where Americans are getting their news and information.
Okay.
Lauren was not here for this. Jaime Buxton was not here for this discussion.
No, I'm excited.
Jaime Buxton from City Mission, like if you were to give us a summary of where do you get your news and information? Like where do you get it?
That's hard.
If I tackled you and forced you to answer in a headlock, what would you say?
First of all, you're not going to do that because I could.
You will not be touching
I could
her.
totally beat you up.
Yes, absolutely.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, you could. You could.
I suppose I get a couple emails from some newsworthy organizations, and while we cook dinner and things like that, news can be found turned on in the Buxton home from time to time.
I feel so much better. I've gone full circle. I watch local news again.
Yeah.
I love it.
Well,
It's like I'm an old lady.
Say I love it, but it is,
But it exists.
It's on and it exists, and and I follow at least one channel where if there's like a breaking news, I'm gonna get an alert and I'll take a peek-see.
So you're getting push notifications and emails from what I would call reputable news sources.
Yes.
And you're watching local news.
Yes.
Okay. Lauren Cuevas, where do you get your information and news?
I get 2 different news emails every morning.
Can I ask from where?
One is called, I can't remember what they're called. Hold on.
That's a weird name.
I
can't remember what they're called. One is called The Pour Over.
Oh, I love The Pour Over.
So it's news from a Christian perspective. I can't remember what the other one is.
Is it the 1440?
Yes, the 1440. Thank you, Ron.
I haven't spent time in either of those. You're happy with them?
Yeah. It's
What's their
pretty,
overall goal in terms of what they're providing?
It's like brief, like you can scroll through the email and see all the top things
Okay.
in all sorts of different areas, not just like, like during the election. It wasn't just election stuff. It's news from all over the world. Then I also do get push notifications to my phone from a couple of places. And then also because of our job, I'm scrolling on news sites a couple times a week.
Yeah, I mean, you and I in particular are the exception because it's part of our jobs.
Yes.
I look through more news sites than the average person.
Yes.
Because I have to. And I like it, but I have to.
Yeah, I wouldn't normally get emails from Pour Over and the 1440. I only do that because of this job.
If you could pretend for a moment you didn't work here,
Yes.
where would you get your information and news?
It would be social media, but from news sources' social media pages.
Like,
Does that make sense? So I'm not sitting down to watch the news, but like I'm getting it from the news station's social media.
it's like maybe an Instagram post or Facebook post or TikTok from New York Times or Cleveland.com.
Yes.
or
Yeah,
Akron Beacon. Okay.
exactly. Mhm.
Okay, fair enough. So with that in mind, the statistics, there's basically 2 that are, I think, very interesting and worth talking about. We've reached a point, according to Pew Research, where about 1 in 5 Americans say they regularly get news from influencers on social media. This is not Lauren getting it from the New York Times or Fox News. This is they're getting their 1 in 5 are getting it from an influencer. What does that mean? Anything at all and I'll tell you more what it means in a second. But among young people, those under age 30, the percentage is much higher. 37% of those under the age of 30 get most of their news and information from social media influencers. Now, you might be like, well, that's not so bad. Let's just say it's the olden days. If Walter Cronkite had an X account, I would have seen what Walter had to say. Okay, fine. Yeah, that would make sense, right?
Yeah.
77% of the influencers in a survey have no affiliation or background with a news organization. As in 77% of the social media influencers talking about news have no credentials whatsoever to give you any information about anything happening anywhere other than their own personal life. And I was very troubled by that. And Daria was like, not so fast. And you still feel that way. And it's great. That made for good discussion. Can you give them some thoughts of what you were saying?
So I actually do have a degree in journalism. And I just think it's good to get your sources from a variety, or your news from a variety of sources. I think there are objectively people that are not qualified to give the news or give their opinion. But who constitutes as an influencer and who constitutes as just as a legitimate journalist is kind of going to vary, depend on who you talk to, because the internet has changed journalism so quickly. And I don't think you necessarily need a background in journalism to report things fairly and accurately.
And I still remain troubled that 77% of influencers don't have any background in news. And yet we have a significant population of Americans getting their information from said people. Because those influencers, by the way, usually are not like, this is my boring site where I just give you news. No, they're a personality that's trying to get you to like and follow their page. So therefore, they're going to use a little bit of hype.
Yeah.
With a lot of opinion. Suddenly you're getting more commentary than news. And Daria still probably is like, Brian, you're an old codger. Get off. Stop telling people to get off your lawn.
No, I think it's fair to approach it with skepticism. But I don't think we should just say this is 100% bad either.
And then there's other extremes. We got a bunch of comments on this when you were out, Lauren. Here's one of the comments I wanted to throw at you guys and see what you think. It won't hurt if I throw it at you. I don't throw very hard. Real news is found on X or other platforms or podcasts, the person wrote. The news as reported on the mainstream, in general, is not to be trusted at all. Someone just laughed.
Yeah.
I mean, this person is saying, they're telling us, they listen to the station, and they're saying the most trustworthy things are on social media. And if it comes from mainstream media, you can't trust it at all.
Well, what I was thinking about when you said if it's coming from influencers, they're not trained in journalism, they're not trained in news, whatever, and they just want you to get to like their page. I would say the same for a lot of news pundits, too.
News pundits, yes.
They want you to stay and watch their show. And so they're going to try to get you riled up just the same way an influencer would.
But that's where there really are categories still to this day. It's hard to believe, but most social media and television news actually isn't that. It's commentary.
So what are you talking about then?
So I don't think it's bad to consume those things as long as you're giving yourself a balanced perspective and you're limiting it because it can be really depressing and scary. I'm talking about major periodicals. Like, we do still have sources of information, like places where Americans find out what's happening that aren't unbiased, because that doesn't exist, because humans create them. But they at least make an effort in some measure to purvey information that is supposed to be as absent of opinion as possible. But again, it's still impossible on its face. People don't believe me when I say it, but Walter Cronkite was biased.
Oh, yeah.
He got to pick which stories he highlighted. And I've heard anecdotes about he was worried about Watergate before the rest of America was. He did a 30-minute research thing on the news about Watergate, and nobody cared. But he was trying to convince people it was a bad thing.
Right.
So commentary is not a new thing. But I think we run into a major problem if somebody can just say all major periodicals, Plain Dealer, Akron Beacon Journal, New York Times, Wall Street Journal, none of them can be trusted at all.
I think the problem is when you say news, people aren't thinking of things like that. They're thinking...
That's even more of a problem.
Yeah, I think they're thinking, what news channel do you watch when you're at home? News channel. I don't think most people are thinking of the things that you're thinking of.
They're not thinking of actual articles that have words on them.
No, I don't think so.
No, they're thinking of like Fox, CNN, MSNBC. That's generally what people mean.
Now I'm more sad.
Why?
Because an objective analysis of any news channel is that anecdotally at least, I can say, if I'm generous, 90% commentary, 10% news.
Yeah, the big national ones.
And that's generous. I mean, probably more like 95% commentary, 5% news.
And I can remember when TV, you had your news and you had an opinion piece.
Yeah, point, counterpoint.
Yeah, Dorothy Fuldheim or Virgil Dominic on Channel 3 would be the one. And they would, and now an opinion piece or a commentary, or they would clearly identify, and he would take a minute or two, or she, Dorothy, and give their opinion on a story. But now it's mixed in so much you can't tell where they're reporting and where they're opining, because it's all blended together.
Because all of it's designed to be persuasive.
Right. And it's more national than local. I think if you watch the local news, they're more about telling you the facts rather than, you should be angry that the ODOT snowplows were out there today.
Yeah, and the other frustrating thing for me is it's not even that hard to find balance if you're looking for it. I see it very quickly. Let's just say I start looking at the New York Times on a Sunday to research for the show. They have a whole section that's clearly labeled opinion, right? And you can see the titles and read through them. If I go next to the Wall Street Journal, you're going to see similar headlines, opposite opinions. Because the bent of both of those periodicals is opposite.
Well, people have a hard time differentiating between opinion and news today.
And that's, as a former teacher of social studies, that is like red alert, we're in trouble. Because that's like fundamental English and social studies basics. What is an opinion? What is a fact?
It's because you have these, like you said, maybe 10% of what is seen on major news networks is opinion. And they present it as 10% is news, 90% is opinion. They present it as fact, and they just talk about their opinions and what they want you as the audience to believe ad nauseum, both sides of the aisle.
Yes.
So I think it's understandable that people are having trouble distinguishing fact from opinion.
And equally so when you have someone who will tell you, oh, I only watch, let's just say CNN, because they're giving me the real news. The rest of you are just being duped by a bunch of people with bias. I just want to shake my head and go, you're insane. Like, how could you even think that somehow your favorite site is unbiased?
Dunning-Kruger.
It is the Dunning-Kruger effect, which we talked about, where the less you know about something, the less you realize you don't know anything about it at all. But you feel like an expert. So fix this for me.
I don't know how to fix it.
Lauren, fix it. You're smart. You're a problem solver.
No.
She is smart.
I think Christians, I have this thing, and people think I'm weird for it, but if we're to be people that believe in objective truth, and we are people who want to have others pursue truth, we should be ones who are the best of anyone at trying to be objective. Not being objective, but trying. Looking for bias, trying to look for truth and reality, right? We're people of truth. I think we're some of the worst, though, at subscribing to bias.
I think so. I think it's hard to kind of come back from where we've gone, though.
We can do it, Lauren.
Well, I can't change anybody, so.
Got a few moments left. Time for your thoughts. 440-546-2255.
Thanksgiving will be here before you know it. And one short week afterwards, Rebecca St. James will be in concert at Grace Church in Middleburg Heights. Tickets are going fast, so if you'd like to celebrate Christmas with us and your family, don't wait any longer. Get your tickets to Christmas with Rebecca St. James, sponsored by Compassion International and Christian Healthcare Ministries. Text CONCERT to 440-546-2255 or go to moodyradio.org/Cleveland and click or tap on Rebecca's lovely face.
So right now may be the perfect time for you to rethink how you pay for health care. And here's why. This time of year is decision time for a lot of people, but it's also when you can join MediShare and save even more than usual. For many families, joining MediShare means saving about $500 a month, which is a game changer for a lot of people, obviously. But what's more, MediShare members like it. a lot. Their satisfaction rate is 98%. Imagine that. And Metashare is a proven thing, too, for over 30 years. It's a Christian community of hundreds of thousands of people now. And here's the thing. If you join before November 30th and you mention the promo code SHARE, they'll waive your application fee. So you save even more right off the bat. I'll give you the number here in a second, but just call and you'll get a price within 2 minutes. And again, the deadline is November 30th. So call now and you'll save even more. Here's the number. 877-58-BIBLE. That's 877-58-BIBLE. 877-58-BIBLE.
Get up, get ready, and get going. It's Mornings with Brian on Moody Radio Cleveland.
8:52 on a follow-up Friday. We just got a couple of minutes left here, and we've got Jaime Buxton with us all morning, Czar of Fun at City Mission.
Mm-hmm.
Jaime, you're the best.
Oh, okay. Thanks.
Did your mom hear you talking about her earlier today?
She hasn't texted, so I'm hoping she slept in today. Because I really feel like, it was a little racy earlier talking about her expired foods.
It's a complicated thing in this business where you have to be careful what you talk about. In fact, that was one of the first pieces of advice I got. And if you've been around Moody Radio for a long time, there's a legend in our circles named Mike Kellogg. He did Music Through the Night. Hello, good friend.
Yeah.
And he was just legendary. And he wandered the halls of the Moody Bible Institute when I first started working there. One of my first days on the radio years ago, I told a story about one of my kids. And he came up to me in a break, and he was like, good friend, you may want to be careful about that. You have to be careful about sharing stories. But thankfully, Lauren's mother is perfectly fine with it.
Yeah, I knew that one wasn't going to deeply offend her. And I've told her about it, already. This was not me calling her out for the first time ever. So
I shared a story earlier this week about my dad setting multiple things on fire, which I then made a short on YouTube. And he found it independently. I did not send it to him. Shared it on Facebook and said, having a famous daughter is problematic sometimes, or whatever he said. And then he and his brother, my uncle, got into an argument in the comments over who did what worse. Like my uncle has set multiple gas cans on fire. This is setting things on fire is a family problem.
Wow.
Yeah, I think maybe it's an older time problem. I don't people don't play with fire as much anymore.
My dad had kids when he set multiple things on fire.
Oh.
I was around for both of these incidents.
My father-in-law and his brothers would put some sort of accelerant on their shoes and light them on fire and run down the street screaming.
Wow.
To scare the neighbors.
Oh my God.
And I like to remind him of that when he complains about the younger generation. I'll be like, weren't you the one that lit your shoes on fire and ran down the street? It's easy to forget about those things happening.
Hopefully all kids are in school by now and nobody's hearing any brilliant ideas by Brian.
Yeah, don't do that. I mean, if I have to tell you not to do that, we all have problems. Don't we? It's like some of these PSAs you have to do.
The frontal lobe is not fully developed at this time.
Well, like Ron and I have a collective groan every time there's a new TikTok trend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You should put your hand in a blender. That'd be funny. No, don't do that. That's dumb.
Yeah. Eat a bunch of cinnamon or something.
Tide Pods.
Yeah.
I think that predated TikTok, if I remember correctly.
Did they have challenges when you were a kid, Lauren?
Nothing's coming to mind. I'm sure there was. Everyone does something.
We didn't do challenges when I was a kid. We just played outside. We didn't.
I'm sure you did something you shouldn't have, like your dad running down the street with fire
I'm not that much younger than you. Yeah, we did dumb stuff.
I was such a good boy.
All kids have social media to post it on. Thank the Lord for that.
Exactly.
I don't know how many times I've actually thanked the Lord that there was not social media when I was a young boy.
Yep. Me too.
I know.
Except I was a young girl. Just
so many dumb decisions that I'll never share on the radio. At least not today. All right, it's just about time for us to get to our Friday song. Remember, Christmas with Rebecca St. James is coming up here in just less than 2 weeks.
Mornings with Brian. Moody Radio Cleveland. 103.3 at 6 to 9 a.m.
Well, that does it. That was Cleveland's own Jason Champion. And Are You Ready? It's been a great week. Jaime Buxton, if folks want to check out or donate to or volunteer at City Mission or just see you.
Yes, and please do. 'Tis the season. We need lots of stuff right now. We got lots of ways to donate, lots of ways to get involved. So thecitymission.org. That the is very important. The City Mission. Thecitymission.org.
And if somebody stopped by, could they say, is Jaime Buxton here? I want to meet her.
Oh, I hope that they do.
Okay, good. Thank you for taking the time to come and hang with us
Thanks
today.
for having me.
Give Linda Uvegas a hard time for us.
She's on vacay.
Wow. When she gets back?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
I'm happy to do it.
Our team, again, we're going to be off next week for Thanksgiving, but we got lots of great stuff for you to listen to. So be sure to tune in and listen. Ron worked real hard pulling some of his favorite things for that.
Thank you.
You did a great job, too. Some good things in there.
Appreciate that.